Part 14. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 135. Not long after eating in the morning, I had a headache, stomachache, vomiting and diarrhea, and I took medicine, and I didn't get over it until almost night. I have yesterday's code, don't worry, Nuan will try my best to make up for it tonight. Let's make a baby who keeps his word. It's summer, everyone should pay attention to what you eat peaches for warmth, hey. In early summer, Grandpa Dagong is so familiar with the Zhou family, he shouldn't be talking nonsense, you'd better ask head Zhou. Luo Xiaoxian paused, her eyes widened in astonishment. Whether the head is married or not is secondary. Yes, the key is whether there are children. Chu Xia, you must ask about this clearly. When Luo Xiaoxian said this, Zhao Yulan also panicked. Xia, Xiaoxian is right, you have to ask about this matter. If you really have a child, you can't say anything, you are still a child, how can you give it to others, be a mother? Let me just say, Captain Zhou has such good conditions, why is he in such a hurry to marry our family in Chu Xia? It must be because he is afraid that it will be too long to reveal his secrets, and Chu Xia won't marry him. Li Aiwan's face was taken for granted. There is no good business for those who are in a hurry. With Zhou Mikang's conditions, what kind of wife can't you marry? Zhao Yishan sighed. Cut off. What's the difference? Lin Baohe sighed heavily, there's no way to compare. Xia, we're wronged as a soldier, go home with Dad, what are you talking about? Dad won't let you marry a second marriage with children. Chu Xia looked at Zhao Qiliang, who was the only one who hadn't spoken with a black line. Brother, what do you say? Me, Zhao Qiliang hadn't recovered from the bewilderment that the regiment leader was about to become his brother-in-law. When asked by Chu Xia, I was a little confused, what do you say? Chu Xia simply ignored him. Looking at the others, don't worry, he is not married and has no children. How is it possible? Your Grandpa Dagong is not a nonsense. With his relationship with the Zhou family, how can he not know how to make up? Xia, you are still a child, and you don't understand the truth of this matter. Listen to your mother, you just ask him clearly. Mother thinks that he is a soldier and such a high-ranking official. If you really ask, you should not lie. Li Aiwan quickly echoed, that's right, Xia, what your mother said is right, you can't guess what it is, it's hard to find a man with a child. It's the same everywhere, no matter what conditions his family has, it's the same. Seeing that uncle and father were about to open their mouths, Chu Xia hurriedly pressed his hands. No, listen to what you mean, do you think that if he is not married and has no children, it is impossible for him to marry me? Zhao Yulan's eyes twinkled unnaturally. Xia, mother thinks you are the best, and she doesn't feel that you are not worthy of him at all. But, this outsider thinks. This outsider doesn't know how good you are. Summer. Of course our own family sees that you are good wherever you are, but in this marriage, he pays attention to being well matched. Even if head Zhou is a bit older, he is only 27. Besides, this week the head of the regiment wants to have a personality and a good appearance. You said that if he opens his mouth, what kind of girl can't be found? Of course, my aunt doesn't mean that Xia is not good, it's because of our family's conditions. People who are officials want to save face. If you really want to marry him and take him out in the future, when people ask, what do you think you have to show off? This matter, no matter how you look at it, something is wrong. It's better to be careful, it's a lifetime thing, don't be careless. Xia, mother has the same idea as your aunt. We have to think about our family's conditions here. Yes, Xia, right now you may feel that the head of the group cares about you and has a bright face, but how should I put it, even if he really thought about it himself, his family would not agree to it. Summer. Zhao Yulan and Li Aiwan, you said I took the pick, Chu Xia couldn't get in the way at all. As the two continued, Lin Baohe's face became more and more ugly. Zhao Yushan smoked more and more fiercely. In the past half a day, Zhao Qiliang really came back to his senses, listening to his mother and his sister-in-law coming and going. He also became black-headed, but unfortunately, Chu Xia couldn't get in the conversation, and he couldn't get in the talk even more. As for Luo Xiaoxian, who provoked this incident, now the more she listens, the more reasonable she is. She nods while holding Chu Xia with her hands, and blinks her big eyes in coordination. Clear this matter. Finally, when her mother and her aunt had time to catch their breath, Chu Xia hurriedly said, "Mother, aunt, I know you are doing it for my own good, but I really didn't think about it on my own. Not married." Grandpa Dagong also said that the old man of the Zhou family was showing off that Tuanzhang Zhou and his future daughter-in-law were going to study abroad. Think about it, how old is Tuanzhang Zhou? Grandpa Dagong is still thinking about his studies. How many years has it been since he got together with the old man of the Zhou family? Mother, we are in the same village as Grandpa Dagong. Tell me, when did you meet the Zhou family? Except for the time when head Zhou and instructor Zhou went to his house. This. Zhao Yulan thought about it, and looked at Lin Baohe, her father. Have you heard of it? Lin Baohe shook his head. Chu Xia quickly interjected, that's the end of it? Grandpa Dagong should be talking about the old Huangli from the past. How can I say this? Grandpa Dagong once saved Captain Zhou's grandfather. The Zhou family is grateful and keeps in touch with him Although Grandpa Dagong is not vain, he is proud to have such a family who misses him all the time. Even if he has not had much contact with him for a few years, he still feels in his heart that he is always in contact with the Zhou family. Father and mother ran to ask about this matter. He certainly didn't want to hide it from father and mother, so he told father and mother everything he knew, and added his guess, which of course was his kindness. But the actual situation is that he really doesn't understand some things. I estimate that he hasn't met with the Zhou family for at least 6 years. During the process, he may have exchanged letters or sent him things, because so. It will cause him to feel that what he understands is the most real. Oops. This roundabout, I almost confused myself. Father, mother, uncle, aunt, do you understand what I want to express? Xia. Zhao Yulan looked at her daughter hesitantly. Then why did Captain Zhou fall in love with you so quickly? Chu Xia has a black thread. Mother, today I heard that he is the one who has a crush on me. Your first reaction is that he is divorced. Is that so? Yeah, Zhao Yulan nodded honestly. Mother really thought so, but at the time, mother felt that even if she divorced, it would be better than marrying a half-old man. At that time, she really didn't expect to have children. Sister-in-law, Captain Zhou should have no children. Zhao Qiliang finally had a chance to interject. I've been here for more than a year, and I haven't heard of Captain Zhou having a child. As for the divorce, I haven't heard of it either. You little soldier. How can you know this? Li Aiwan slapped her son across the face. This is a major event related to your sister's life's happiness. You can't mislead us by talking nonsense. Dare to love. Chu Xia talked for a long time, but everyone still didn't believe it. That is. Everyone will look for it, if Zhou Mikang is normal. Marrying her is not normal. But how would she explain it? Said that Zhou Mikang's feelings were hurt, and he was forced by his family to marry her? Or maybe Zhou Mikang simply made a mistake because he was misunderstood by his family. But if she really said that, the big family would guess even more. Forget it, I'll wait until I see Zhou Mikang tomorrow and let him explain it himself. She really doesn't know how to say this. Thinking of this, she stood up. Father and mother, uncle and aunt, you have been tired all day, take a good rest tonight, and let Captain Zhou tell you about this tomorrow, okay? Xia, can't you live with your mother? Zhao Yulan grabbed her daughter with a look of reluctance. Chu Xia also hated Zhao Yulan, but Zheng Meili didn't say anything, and she couldn't stay, so she said, "Mother, I'm a soldier now, so I have to abide by the discipline of the army. It's already Captain Zheng who made an exception for us by letting us go back late. You can't help but let people gossip. By the way, my mind is in a mess because of your nagging. I forgot to tell you some good news. Xiaoxian was taken by the dean of our 401 General Hospital here, and was transferred to be the dean's assistant not long after. The household registration has also passed, that is to say, Xiaoxian has become what you say is a city person who eats the national food." "Really?" Zhao Yulan pulled Luo Xiaoxian happily, "this child is really promising. He has only been here for 2 days, and the dean will take a fancy to him and eat the national food. This will make your father and you mother knows, but I'm still not sure what Zikan will look like." Luo Xiaoxian smiled embarrassedly, "Auntie, it's not certain." "I can't be sure." Chu Xia never lies. Li Aiwan held Luo Xiaoxian's other hand and looked him up and down. "I just said, we Xiaoxian are lucky at first glance, and our family Qi Liang is also lucky. No, it will be fulfilled later." Chu Xia listened with a helpless expression on her face. She dared to say that no one believed Zhou Mikang's matter, but when it came to Luo Xiaoxian's matter, she never lied, alas. It was also the first time Zhao Qiliang heard about this. He was stunned for a long time before looking at Chu Xia. "Chu Xia, when did this happen?" "Just a few days ago, when we were in class, Dean Su came to inspect, and Xiaoxian met me when she was sick. Then, Dean Su liked her boldness and carefulness, and asked her if she would like to go to 401. If Dean Su hadn't been sick these years, Xiaoxian would have reported to 401 long ago." "Big brother, Big Aunt is right, you are a lucky person, but you have to work hard and try to stay, otherwise, when the time comes, it became a family member of the team." Chu Xia explained it half jokingly. Of course, what she said was the official version. As for the tricks in it, how dare she tell these people? If you want them to know the strength of the Zhou family, then you have to worry even more. For example, if Zhou Mikang has no children, you must specify that there are other problems, and it must be very serious. For example, if they make the Zhou family unhappy, can Luo Xiaoxian and Zhao Qiliang be driven home after that? For example, she didn't need to think about it anymore, but what they thought was definitely not positive anyway. She told them about Luo Xiaoxian now, just to use this happy event to alleviate everyone's worries, otherwise, they would just be worried at night. But at this moment, she can't go find Zhou Mikang and explain to them whether he has ever been married, has he ever had a baby, hey. I don't know what kind of expression Master Zhou will have when he knows that these parents think of him like this, but she looks forward to seeing him embarrassed. On the way back, Zhao Qiliang remained silent. Luo Xiaoxian poked Chu Xia worriedly, and nodded her chin to Zhao Qiliang's position. Of course, Chu Xia had already seen Zhao Qiliang's appearance, but she had to give him some time to digest this matter. Most men have the idea that they must be stronger than their wives, and if their wives climb faster than themselves, they will feel a little uncomfortable. To put it bluntly, it is male chauvinism. If the elder brother really thinks this way, she would look down on him a little bit. When a man encounters such a thing, he should think of how hard he is trying to catch up with his girlfriend, instead of complaining about himself or thinking that he is not good enough. The other party gave up and chose to give up. But it's not good for her to tell Luo Xiaoxian what she said. What if it affects Luo Xiaoxian's judgment and breaks up with her elder brother? But Luo Xiaoxian had already poked her, so she couldn't say nothing, so she said, "Brother, what are you thinking?" "I'm digesting what happened today." Zhao Qiliang rubbed his head embarrassingly. "This one happened too suddenly, I need to digest it well. Right now, I still can't accept it. The most important thing is that I really can't get used to the fact that the head of the regiment is going to be my brother-in-law. What about Xiaoxian going to 401? This is a good thing, I can only be happy. Zhao Qiliang looked at Luo Xiaoqian seriously. Xiaoqian, you have developed better than me, I can only be happy. Today, the main thing is to make things clear about Chu Xia. I am in a trance. Don't worry, I will work hard to stay with you and make my father-in-law and mother-in-law proud of me. You really think so? Luo Xiaoqian's brows lit up with joy. He didn't see Zhao Qiliang on the first day he came to report. The two met 3 days later in the cafeteria. But at that time, neither of them had the nerve to say hello to each other. Zhao Qiliang had known for a long time that she and Chu Xia were coming to report, but he didn't show any surprise. He just smiled at her and Chu Xia and said nothing else. That night, she and Chu Xia went to him and had a chat. In order to influence, Chu Xia did not dare to create a chance for the two of them to be alone, so after 3 meetings, including this time, she and Zhao Qiliang did not speak more than 10 sentences. Tonight, Zhao Qiliang was probably shocked by the fact that Zhou Mikang wanted to marry Chu Xia, so he didn't pay much attention to her, which made her think that Zhao Qiliang heard the rumors and didn't want her anymore. In fact, there was one thing she didn't even say about Chu Xia. At first, she didn't want to go to 401. Apart from being reluctant to bear Chuxia, the most important thing was that Zhao Qiliang would not want to be with her because she developed better than him. After all, many men have this problem, and she had to defend. Zhao Qiliang was the man she had always wanted to like, and finally her wish came true. She was really afraid of losing, so this night, she was always worried. Both for early summer and for myself. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 136. After the modification, there is no starting point currency on the Nuan account, and I can't see it myself. If there is any problem after reading it online, please post a comment below immediately, and Nuan will change it immediately. Fool, of course it's true. Are you thinking wildly? Zhao Qiliang pampered Luo Xiaoqian's head, and realized that the little cousin was still in front of him, so he laughed hee in embarrassment. Chu Xia poked her head over with a funny face. Brother, come on, rub it. Zhao Qiliang really rubbed her head, and Chu Xia laughed out loud. Brother, are you really rubbing it? Haha, you are not afraid that my sister-in-law will be angry. I will remember it from now on, except for her, any other female creature, including me, don't bother with me. You, how can I be so narrow-minded? Luo Xiaoqian pushed Chu Xia angrily. Be careful yourself, don't bring me along. Okay, I'm narrow-minded, don't you worry about it now. Chu Xia looked around to see if there was no one around, then pushed the two of them together, and moved a little further away. You two can whisper, you can pretend that I don't exist. Luo Xiaoqian curled her lips. Our private conversation can be said in front of your face. You come here, don't think that I will be fooled by this method, don't you just think, when you and Captain Zhou are together in the future, you want to get out of the way automatically. Let me tell you, it's not that easy. When you are with him in the future, you also have to take me with you. I have to know everything you say. If you let me know that you have something behind my back, don't blame me for being rude. Okay, I'll take you with me from now on. Chu Xia shook her head with a smile. I just want to ask you a little bit. Then you will go to 401. How should I take you? When I'm not around, I'm not allowed to meet him alone. Too overbearing. I'm doing this for your own good. I'm afraid you will suffer. I'm not a fool, how can I suffer so easily? I see your brother takes you every time, and you must take me with him when you see him. Hearing that the two talked more and more unreasonably, Zhao Qiliang quickly interrupted. Chu Xia, what you said today is not to comfort my sister-in-law and my uncle, is it? Which ones? It's because Head Zhou is not married. What? Chu Xia raised her eyebrows. Brother, do you also think he should get married? Luo Xiaoxian pouted dissatisfiedly, then you still helped her speak at that time. No, I don't think Captain Joe should get married too. I still can't believe that he is going to marry my little cousin. Of course, Chu Xia, I'm not looking down on you. Rather, you have just joined the army, and you may not have a deep understanding of Commander Zhou. He is basically the god in the hearts of all soldiers. He is a god that no one can match since the founding of the country. 22 years old. He took down a company of the enemy alone, regardless of whether it was a trick or not. Anyway, he did it and came back alive. At the age of 23, with the strength of a company, he led a regiment of others. Certainly. These tasks are carried out secretly and cannot be publicized in newspapers. However, our army. You all know, I believe that after a while, when you take politics classes, the teacher will tell you about his deeds. What I listed above are just 2 examples. There are countless others. Otherwise, he would not be able to become the regiment commander at the age of 27. Moreover, his father is now the commander-in-chief of the Shangjing military region. He is only 50 years old, and no one can predict where he will go next. His uncles and aunts, some in politics and some in the army, none of them are characters that we ordinary people can get in touch with. Such a person, if he is willing, no one is unwilling to marry his daughter to him. Even if he is married, even if he has children, it can't stop the daughter of a good family from wanting to marry him. You need background, ability, and ability, what you want, what is married and have children. To be honest, when my mother was discussing with my little aunt there, I was afraid to frighten them, so I didn't intervene. They felt that if Captain Joe had children, Xia would be wronged, but in reality, whether he had children or not, marrying Xia is not wronged. So, I want to know now, what do you think in Chu Xia? Do you also think that he is not good enough for you if he is married and has children? Brother, you are really beating around the bush. What you mean is that I would tell my mother and aunt those things to comfort them, and I don't know whether Zhou Mikang is married or not. You don't have a baby, do you? Right. Wait a minute. Luo Xiaoxian stood in front of Zhaoqi Liang. You mean, Captain Zhou has his eyes on Chu Xia? No matter what his current situation is, Chu Xia should be happy to think that he has picked up a big ingot, right? I didn't mean that, I just told Chu Xia the truth. That's what you meant, humph. Luo Xiaoxian snorted coldly, pulled Shuxia away. We ignore him, it's a good thing he's still your brother, to say such things. No matter how capable the head of Zhou's family is, you will eat the food and wear the clothes after you marry, so why do you think you picked up a big ingot? Even he thinks so, what do others think? I think this matter really needs to be discussed. Xiao Qian, don't mess around. I said this not because I think Chu Xia picked up the big ingot, but because I want to know her mind so I can tell her what to do next. Brother, I understand what you mean. Seeing that Zhaoqi Liang was really anxious, Chu Xia hurriedly pulled Luo Xiaoxian to stop. You are worried that I will not handle it well and cause public anger among the veterans, right? Yes, if everyone knows that the leader is going to marry you, but you despise him, I guess you won't be able to stay here any longer. Everyone really worships him from the bottom of their hearts. Luo Xiaoxian sullenly said, if you had to choose between me and him, who would you choose? Is there any comparison? Zhaoqi Liang smiled wryly. Xiaoxian, let's stop messing around. Okay, I guess it's almost time. Don't waste time, we have to face this problem tomorrow. What will happen now, son? First of all, we need to unify our opinions before we can talk to the elders, right? Luo Xiaoxian cut unwillingly, but said nothing. Brother, don't worry, there are no such things as you are worried about. Chu Xia explained again helplessly. What I said in front of my mother and my aunt earlier was the truth. Moreover, I am also very sure that Zhou Mikang has never been married and has no children, so the problems you are worried about do not exist. Brother, Let's go back to rest earlier, and we will go back too. She really didn't dare to talk to Zhao Qiliang anymore. It could be seen that her eldest cousin really admired Zhou Mikang. If she continued, maybe he and Luo Xiaoxian could really fight. It was really something she didn't want to let them quarrel because of her affairs. Okay, then I'll go back first. Take 2 steps. Zhao Qiliang stopped again. Do you want to tell Hunky tomorrow? No need, tell him what to do. Luo Xiaoxian waved his hand with disgust on his face. Then he's just 1 or 2 fools. How many times have I told him that Zhong Hongying didn't feel at ease? But he wrote letters to others every day. Humph, you don't need to tell him about our affairs. He is not old at all. Family. After separating from Zhao Qiliang, Luo Xiaoxian stopped at a secluded place. Chu Xia, have you really thought about it? Huh, Chu Xia looked at her suspiciously. You still don't believe that he's not married and has no children? Well, if you don't believe me, you can ask him tomorrow and stop teaching me, okay? No, I believe what you said. What I mean is, have you made up your mind to marry into such a family? According to what your elder brother said, the Zhou family is not an ordinary big courtyard. Married in the past, there must be a lot of rules, even, they can't let you continue to be a soldier. Early summer, you are 1 year younger than me, just get married and have children, and be a housewife for the rest of your life. Are you ready? I know that many people will be very envious when they hear that you married into such a family, but I really don't think it's a good thing. We marry an ordinary family, we can do whatever we want without seeing each other. God pleases this and pleases that. With your temper, I don't think you can bear to please others every day. Therefore, no matter how he forces you or what, you have to think about it. This is a lifetime thing. If you really want to marry him, you won't be able to regret it. Even if you leave him one day, no man in this life will dare to marry you again. Chu Xia, I say this because I am definitely not jealous of your marriage. I'm really worried about you. If it is said that he married you because he likes you, he will treat you well for the rest of his life and not let his family make things difficult for you. I can only be happy for you. However, if you marry in the past, you will be locked in a cage at all. Then I have to hold back, whether you want to listen or not, I will say this. Otherwise, I will feel uneasy. If you live well in the future, it's okay. If you live badly, I will definitely blame myself for the rest of my life. Chu Xia, if you don't want to, don't wrong yourself for anyone. Even if your elder brother and I don't serve as soldiers anymore, we will fight for justice for you. Believe me, I think so, and your elder brother must also think so. Even if we go back to the village, we will definitely be able to live well. Forget it, Rory Basso, said that I was confused. Anyway, after saying this, you should understand what I mean. Chu Xia, promise me, think carefully before making a decision. Let me emphasize again, I say this not because of jealousy, but from the bottom of my heart, 200%, I hope you can live well, you have to believe me. I believe, of course I believe. Chu Xia hugged her and patted her. Xiao Qian, it's great to have you as a friend, don't worry, I won't force myself. As for his family, forget it, let me tell you the truth, he used to have a girlfriend, but after they broke up, that girl found a foreigner, so he was very angry and never found another girlfriend. Seeing his age go up year by year, how could the elders in his family not be in a hurry? They made some arrangements for him overtly and secretly, but in the end, he didn't accept any of them. Don't look at him as a junior at home, but his father, grandpa, etc. have to let him go. Didn't I go to his house last time? He stood in the middle of the room, and everyone else was too scared to make a sound. And the reason why he got angry was that his family secretly investigated me, because they heard Zhou Hanliang said that he was good to me, so they deliberately investigated me, and his mother wanted to see each other in advance. In the end, he found out, not only did he not recognize it, he was also scolded by him, and you can see the attitude of his family from these things. It is estimated that if he does not marry a fool, his family will have no objection. So, don't worry, if I really marry into his family, I won't be locked up like a prison. As for whether I'm really willing to marry him, I have to tell you honestly. Don't like him yet. But Ziokshan, his character. It is not easy to do this for me, especially after seeing his attitude towards his family. I really think that marrying him may be a good choice. I am the only one in my family. My father and mother must be taken care of by me. I want them to live a good life, of course. I believe that if I serve as a soldier here, gradually, I will find a good man. However, the current situation is, if I don't marry him, I guess I can't even become a soldier, or he wouldn't do that domineeringly, but what about others? Will you do something in secret? Who can guarantee? I can't afford to bet if I go back to the village right now. Other people's saliva can drown me, so I don't care, but what about my father and mother? Especially my father's temper. He usually looks honest, but as long as it concerns me, he is not him. If he conflicts with others or has an accident, I will regret it for the rest of my life. Even if the college entrance examination is resumed this year, what if some people get in the way? We are just ordinary people, our arms can't twist our thighs, so I admit it. Regardless of whether the future is good or not, this is my own choice. At least, I now feel that marrying him is not the worst. Many people can't afford what he can give me. Marrying him, I don't have to worry about any powerful people coming to force me to marry him, and I don't have to worry about being too busy to take care of myself, let alone my parents. In short, this is a win-win thing. Ziokshan, I told you this, and I said it so clearly, because I hope you can support me, and you can see my mother and I are worried. If you don't support me, they may really have troubles all the time. Logo Ziokshan felt a little dizzy after hearing this for a long time, and after digesting for a long time, she nodded her head in response. Okay, but I have a condition. You must promise me that if you suffer any grievances, you must tell me as soon as possible. Me, even if I can't beat him, I'm going to theory. Ro. The two reached an agreement, and after returning to the dormitory, everyone had already fallen asleep. Nothing to say all night. On the first day, on the way to breakfast after morning exercises, Lu Meijun asked Chu Xia curiously, "Did your parents really come to see you?" "Yes." Lu Meijun was speechless. Unexpectedly, "It's true, Lin Chuxia, your parents really dote on you." "Yes, they really love me. I'm so envious. If only my parents would spoil me like this." Chu Xia chuckled. "How can there be parents who don't love their children? It's just that each pair of parents has a different way. If your words are heard by your parents, they will be sad." "I know, but I still can't help but want to compare with you. If I can choose, I really hope that they will spoil me in the way your parents do. Really, since I was a child, I have never seen them praise me. It's like I have the ability to become a soldier. They are obviously very happy in their hearts. When they are facing outsiders, they are always boasting, but as long as they are alone with me, there is nothing but training. Knowing them well, I really wonder if they are my biological parents." Seeing that she was willing to say this to herself, Chu Xia felt relieved, and joked with a smile, "Why, don't you be angry with me." Lu Meijun smiled embarrassedly. "I wasn't angry at first, it's just that I didn't turn around all of a sudden." "Okay, just don't get angry." Lu Meijun changed the subject. "By the way, aren't you going to accompany your parents today?" "I'll go there after breakfast. Their breakfast will be settled directly from the guest house. The captain has granted me a day and a half of leave." I will come back tomorrow afternoon. Chu Xia smiled happily. Zhenmei had told her in the morning that she would be given a day and a half of leave. You don't have to come back at night. As for Luo Xiaoxian, of course she didn't have this kind of treatment. She could only wait for the training to end before joining them. The captain is so kind to you. Lu Meijun giggled. To be honest, if the captain is not a woman, we really wonder if the captain has taken a fancy to you. Just envy, jealous and hate, Chu Xia said and patted Luo Xiaoxian on the shoulder sympathetically. You will continue to suffer through your hard life. I hope Miss Sun can spend a day and a half. You won't get out of tune. You said that she was out of her mind, and I was so angry with her. She asked me to teach her after she said such cruel words. I was really convinced. That's because you are the only one who teaches her seriously, and everyone else is fooling her. Just the class monitor. Although I want to teach her seriously, but I have too many things to do, and I can't take care of her for a while. She just stares at you. Don't let go. Sigh. It turns out that being nice to people is also my shortcoming. Luo Xiaoxian rubbed her forehead. In the future, I will learn to be bad to people. There is a saying that good people don't live long, and evil will last forever. Early summer. Lu Meijun. Xia, are you full? Mother left you 2 buns. As soon as Chu Xia entered the door, Zhao Yulan took out 2 buns wrapped in a small handkerchief and handed them to her daughter. It's still hot. Eat quickly. Mother. Chu Xia hugged Zhao Yulan, her voice choked up. Xia, what's the matter? Zhao Yulan pulled her away in a panic. This child, what wronged you? Tell mother, mother will vent your anger on you. No, I moved my mother. Chu Xia laughed through tears. Mother, don't even think about it. I'm here to serve as a soldier. How can I not have enough to eat? The food in our cafeteria is the same as that in the guest house. Xia is here. The door opened and Lin Baohe came in. He also held a handkerchief bag in his hand. Xia, Dad left you 2 buns. You too. Li Aiwan was speechless. Breakfast was settled in the cafeteria of the guest house, but she didn't realize that the couple had hidden 2 steamed buns by themselves. Father. Chu Xia also had black hair, and she told Lin Baohe what she said to Zhao Yulan. The couple said that she had to eat the buns, saying that she was getting older, so it didn't matter if she ate more. I didn't have much to eat at home before, but now that I have the conditions, I can't delay my body. At this moment, Chu Xia was also secretly glad that she had the foresight and only ate half full. In fact, she was originally worried that her parents would force her to eat the scallion pancakes baked by her grandma, but she didn't expect them to bring food for her from the cafeteria. She couldn't bear to criticize them for this behavior. If it wasn't for the hard life and caring for her, how could they do such a thing? Even if she was half full, it was impossible for her to eat all 4 buns. In the end, there was only 1 left, and she couldn't hold it anymore. Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan saw that their daughter was really full, so they didn't push anymore, and gave way to each other. In the end, a bun was divided into 2 halves, and it was settled in a few mouthfuls. Chu Xia's face turned red. With the temper of her parents, since they brought her 2 buns, they must have saved their share. They are not the kind of people who will make money at all. As for why the couple brought both of them, it was also very simple. They didn't want to make the other party hungry, so they secretly saved food for their daughters. Seeing Chu Xia's uneasiness, Li Aiwan smiled and said, Xia, there is nothing to be embarrassed about. Seeing that you are full, your parents are happy. Zhao Yushan also smiled. Xia, you can tell from this matter that it's far and near? My aunt and I didn't leave you a meal. Brother and sister-in-law, don't laugh at us, you're used to it. I always feel that Xia can't get enough to eat. Zhao Yushan couldn't help but said, she's here to serve as a soldier, and she's not in jail. How can she not have enough to eat? You're just worrying. The family was talking and laughing when Joe Mikang came over. After everyone said hello, Joe Mikang announced the arrangements for the day. He took everyone around the city in the morning, went to Joe's house for dinner at noon, and met the parents of both parties. Well, wait a minute. Being stared at by several elders, Chu Xia had no choice but to stand up. My father, my mother, and my uncle and aunt, I have a question that I need to answer. I've already answered it for you, but they don't believe it, so you should say it yourself. What's the matter? Joe Mikang looked at the elders. Just as Zhao Yulan was about to speak, Lin Baohe waved his hand at her and said, Commander Zhou. As soon as he opened his mouth, Joe Mikang was stunned. It was broken. It was only one night. Why did this name go back? Moreover, based on his experience, when you call him that, you must start to question him again. Sure enough, what he said later verified his guess. We've all seen your conditions. Although we don't know your family's situation, we know that it's definitely not a bad one after thinking about it. It's really high for us to marry you in early summer. But our early summer is also the baby of the family. We have grown so big and have not suffered much. If we marry into your family and don't take good care of it, we may make your parents angry. The most important thing is that she is still a child, if she is allowed to take care of a child. I'm afraid I really can't take good care of you. Forget it, Captain Joe, I won't beat around the bush with you, let's just talk about it. With such good conditions, you must have been married, right? This, we can accept, but if there are children, it is absolutely unacceptable to us. Even if Chu Xia is not allowed to be a soldier, we can't let her be a soldier's mother for others. This child is really not good. Head Zhou, you are a great leader, I believe you will not lie to us. The kid said a lot of good things about you yesterday. It is also guaranteed that you are not married and have no children, but our news is different from what she said. I believe you. As long as you say anything, I will believe it. Lin Baohe probably never said such a long sentence in his life. For the sake of his daughter, he decisively changed his teeth. Joe Mikang's expression didn't know how to describe it. He never thought that he would cause such a misunderstanding to others. Still married, still a child. If this is the case, will his parents still be in a hurry? With grandchildren, how can you be so anxious? What his parents were worried about was that he didn't have a baby. They were afraid that he would never get married for the rest of his life, and they would stare at him after delaying the birth of a baby. If they really wanted to have a baby, they wouldn't bother to stare at him. Captain, are you sure? Father, mother, really, I really didn't expect that you would have such a misunderstanding. I can assure you that I have never been married, let alone have children. Marrying Chu Xia is my first marriage. Absolutely right for a first-time marriage. But there is one thing I want to explain to you. I was engaged before, but in the end, due to some reasons, the two parties cancelled the marriage again. I guarantee with my personality that what I said is true. When he said but, the complexions of all the elders suddenly changed, and after hearing what he said, they finally breathed a sigh of relief. Then don't worry, Xiaozhou, don't think we are busy. Mainly Zhao Yulan smiled embarrassedly. The main thing is that there is only one girl in our family, and we never think about the benefits of climbing high branches. We just want to let someone hurt in early summer, live a comfortable life, haha. Yeah, Xiaozhou, don't blame us for being paranoid, it's true. I really don't deserve him. Seeing that the eldest aunt really couldn't go down, Chu Xia couldn't help but secretly slander her. Lin Baohe, who had a rare eloquence, turned into a dull gourd again. With an embarrassed smile on his face, he didn't know what to say. He was also a little annoyed at himself. Yesterday he clearly felt that he understood that Captain Joe was sincere to his daughter, but after being said that by others, he expressed doubts about his vision again. My daughter is so pretty and sensible, it's normal for Captain Joe to like her. The daughter is in charge of her father, and now she feels that Joe Mikang will have no problem marrying his daughter anywhere. Of course, just because he was relieved, it didn't mean that others were also relieved. Head Joe, what do you think about our family's early summer? Lee Aiwan smiled mischievously. I don't mean to talk too much. Yulan and Baohe's tempers make it impossible for them to ask such a question, so I'll speak for them. Joe Mikang thought about it for a while, and said, I can't say, I just see her right, and my father and mother also like her. Really? Zhao Yulan stood up happily. Xiaozhou, you said that your parents also like our Chu Xia. Yes, mother, they really like early summer. That's great. I've always been worried that your family doesn't like Xia. Chu Xia secretly rolled her eyes when she heard a few people shouting, when did his parents like her so much? For his parents, as long as he can fancy a woman, he likes anyone. With nothing to worry about, the group traveled with Joe Mikang for a half-day tour first. Near noon, Joe Mikang drove a group of people to the Joe family compound. This time I came here with a different identity than the last time. Ever since I entered the gate of the courtyard, Chu Xia felt her heart was going to jump in her throat. After this time, the marriage between her and Joe Mikang is considered to be completely settled. The parents of the two sides meet and set a date. Everything that follows seems to be a matter of course, right? Early in the morning, or because her guesses were all false and excited, everyone who was interested did not ask about the matter of letting Chu Xiaowen have a baby, and she herself is not easy to ask, so at this moment, what she is most worried about, it means that after the marriage is a matter of course, it is a matter of course to have a baby. At Joe Mikang's age, he should have a baby. Just, with him. When she thought about it, she found it hard to accept. Without love, how could she do that? Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe's couple, as well as Zhao Yushan and Li Aiwan's couple, were absolutely as nervous as Chu Xia. On the way here, they didn't feel much, but when they saw the soldiers standing at the door with live ammunition, their calves started to tremble. Although they are ordinary people, they also know that ordinary people are not qualified to live in a compound guarded by guards. Especially Zhao Yushan, who had been a secretary for so many years, he knew better about the staffing of an official, and when he saw the guard, his brain would thump. I thought to myself, if such a family is willing to marry Chu Xia, they should be laughing, but they even tried to judge Joe Mikang for a long time. Really? What about getting married? What about bringing children? Where can they climb up? Now that I've climbed up, I'm done grinning, thinking about it, and thinking about it. Zhao Yushan is still doing ideological struggle here, and the car has already parked at the door of a single villa. At the same time, a large group of people rushed out of the villa. Sitting in the Zhou family hall, Zhao Yulan, Lin Baohe, Zhao Yushan, and Li Aiwan were still top-heavy, and seemed to have no idea how to behave other than giggling. As for who introduced them, sorry, I don't remember any of them. Since her parents were not strong enough, Chu Xia had no choice but to endure her panic, and smirked at everyone, saying that she didn't know what to say when her identity changed. The whole family panicked like this, but the Zhou family didn't panic. After seeing the performance of the elders, they understood that this was an honest family. As for whether they are satisfied or not, do they still have a choice? When the tea was served, Lin Yangkai hurriedly said, "My in-laws, drink some tea. Are you tired from the journey?" "Not tired, not tired." Zhao Yulan stood up nervously, and accidentally, her sleeve swept the teacup down. The teacup spun on the coffee table and fell to the ground. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 137. One more. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. Zhao Yulan apologized and bent down to pick up the cup in a panic, holding it with both hands and putting it on the coffee table. What are you doing? How can you let the guests pick it up by themselves? Why don't you hurry up and change the cups for the guests? Yes, old lady Lumar replied, and quickly picked up the teacup Zhao Yulan put on the table and ran to the kitchen. This is simply a slap in the face. Zhao Yulan, who was originally uncomfortable, suddenly felt that it was not good to stand or sit, and she didn't know where to put her hands and feet. In-law, we will be a family from now on. You and your in-laws should treat this place as your own. Lin Yangkai smiled and pushed Zhao Yulan down on the sofa, and took her hand affectionately. By the way, where are you from, year? Zhao Yulan's mind was in a mess now. She knew what Lin Yangkai was asking, but her lips trembled and she couldn't speak. It was Zhou's attitude that frightened her. Chu Xia quietly held her other hand, squeezed it reassuringly, and looked at Lin Yangkai with a smile. Auntie, my mother is 38 years old, she is a tiger, and she is just 40 years old this year. Lin Yangkai looked at Chu Xia with a hint of admiration in her eyes. Since Chu Xia first came here, she liked it very much. Although she came from a small place, she is generous and not petty at all, which makes people look very comfortable. Originally, she thought that the parents who can raise such a child must have a calm atmosphere that is different from ordinary people. Now let's see. Rather, she was wrong. However, it doesn't matter. The Zhou family married a daughter-in-law, not a mother-in-law. Besides, the son can let go of the marriage, and she has already burned the incense, so how can she choose and choose? In-law, then I have to call you sister. Lin Yangkai took the cup from Luma and poured water for Zhao Yulan. I'm a horse, and I'm 8 years older than my sister. You are too polite. Seeing the other party pouring water for herself again, Zhao Yulan didn't dare to get up when she thought about it, and raised her hands anxiously in front of her chest. I don't know what action to do. Lin Yangkai smiled. Sister, I like this child in Chuxia for the first time. We are all very content to marry her as the daughter-in-law of the Zhou family. Don't worry, sister, this child will not be able to bear the humiliation when she comes to our Zhou family. I will treat her like my own daughter, sister. We will be a family in the future. Why are you being polite to me? You said you came all the way, shouldn't I pour you a glass of water? Thank you. After a while, the hand was held by the daughter again. Zhao Yulan finally had some confidence in her heart. I'll follow my sister-in-law and call me a girl, too. I'm also several years older than you. Haha. Yang Xiaohong, the second aunt of the Zhou family, looked at Zhao Yulan with a smile. You will know after getting along for a long time, my sister-in-law is very easygoing. Chu Xia married into our family, so she couldn't stand the humiliation. Lin Yangkai glared at her. Why don't you talk then? You just know how to sit and pretend to be a guest. Aren't I afraid of delaying your relationship with your in-laws? Liang Xiaohong said with a smile. By the way, when my daughter-in-law's family comes to visit, you can't steal my limelight, he said, and looked at Zhao Yulan. Sister, we didn't talk just now because we were not enthusiastic, but because we were afraid that my sister-in-law would be jealous. The fourth sister, Zhou Xiangping, answered quickly, yes, yes, and, you don't talk without looking at us? My mother is very particular. Today she is the home team, and we are all supporting. The second sister, Zhou Jiping, followed closely behind. Auntie, my mother really has such a temper, but this shows that she values you and Chu Xia, otherwise, she would not bother to answer. Lin Yangkai glared at a few of them. Every one of you, you just want to make a fool of me. To put it bluntly, you just wanted to see my jokes, knowing that I have been looking forward to my daughter-in-law for so long, and want to see if I will make a fool of myself. I don't know what you're thinking. The fourth sister Zhou Xiangping laughed. Mom, you are so smart, but the facts have proved that you can stand the test. I can give you 90 points for your performance. Lin Yangkai looked at Zhao Yulan with a smile. Sister, did you see that my daughters and I are so small? It really makes you laugh, but they are all good-hearted children. From now on, it is designated not to bully early summer. The fourth younger sister Zhou Xiangping rolled her eyes and said, Mom, you are flattering us too much. With my third brother's temper, don't dare to bully the future third sister-in-law if you lend us 10 courage. Lin Yangkai looked helpless. In-law, look at my monkey, she really doesn't look like a girl, but fortunately, she's married, or you'll worry me to death. Everyone present, except Mrs. Zhou, all laughed and made a fuss, which made Zhao Yulan's mood gradually eased, and she started talking and laughing with a few people while answering questions. Over there, Lin Baohe was surrounded by Mr. Zhou, Zhou's father Zhou Jingping, Zhou's second uncle Zhou Gangping, Zhou Mikang's eldest brother Zhou Zikang, and of course Zhou Mikang was with him. Lin Baohe, who was always talkative and boring, did not go through such a battle. Surrounded by a group of imposing big men, he could not do anything else except laugh. Zhou Jingping handed tea to Lin Baohe. Dear family, your journey has been hard enough, drink tea. Lin Baohe took it with a stiff posture, raised his neck, and it was done. Everyone was dumbfounded. It was boiling hot tea. Zhou Mikang hurriedly poured a cold glass and handed it to him in vain. Father, drink some cold water. Zhou Jingping cast a resentful glance at his son, and as soon as he put his horoscope on his face, he called him daddy. As his own father, why is it so difficult for him to call him daddy? For a split second, he was so envious of Lin Baohe that he wished he could exchange souls with him. Lin Baohe took the water, raised his neck again, and it was done. Zhou Zikang, who was filling Lin Baohe with tea, was in a bit of a dilemma. He was afraid that if he handed it over, the other party would do it again, but it would be impolite not to hand it over. This is your father-in-law, you have the final say. Father, Smoke Zhou Mikang took out the good cigarette in front of Mr. Zhou, put it on Lin Baohe's mouth, and then kindly lit it for the other party, staring at him earnestly. Dad, give it a try. Is the smoke smooth? Not to mention Zhou Jingping, even Mr. Zhou couldn't stand it anymore. At such an old age, he has never seen his grandson light a cigarette for him once, which is good. His wife has already been kidnapped to some country before she is married. The old man was not reconciled, but he didn't dare to take any action. If because of his shouting, the marriage had a corner, the eldest daughter-in-law would probably be able to lift the roof off. As for Uncle Zhou and Zhou Zikang, besides staring wide-eyed and half opening their mouths, there is no other expression that could express their feelings more appropriately. Especially Uncle Zhou, if it wasn't for a sliver of reason to control him, he really wanted to slap himself twice, whether he was dreaming or in reality right now. For this nephew who is the most capable and tempered, he really knows it too well, let alone serving others, it is difficult to get him to say a few nice words. Otherwise, how could the relationship with my elder brother become so rigid? Glancing quietly at his own big brother, the man who was about to snatch the cigarette from the other's mouth and take 2 puffs saw him almost laughing and smoked. Who would have thought that the commander-in-chief of the military region would actually eat the future in-laws jealous like this? Everyone stared at him without saying a word. Lin Baohe really didn't know what else to do other than cooperate with smoking. In the end, he just smoked one cigarette after another, and in a blink of an eye there was only a cigarette butt left. Father, how are you? Zhou Mikang asked again. Lin Baohe, yes. Another one. Ro. The old lady Zhou frowned suddenly. Why are you so choked? Chu Xiao reflexively looked at her father, but she saw that old man Zhou, Father Zhou, Uncle Zhou, and elder brother Zhou and Zhou Zikang were staring at her father smoking a cigarette. Father Chu Xiao stepped forward and took the cigarette out of Lin Baohe's mouth. Smoking less, it's not good for your health. Yeah, Lin Baohe breathed a sigh of relief, saying that he didn't want to smoke, but everyone was so enthusiastic, he felt that it was not good to pick up this one and pick up that one, so he smoked everyone who respected him. In fact, this cigarette is tasteless. After smoking for a long time, his mouth is numb, and he has not had a good time. Hey, it is really not something that he can enjoy, it is still his. Dry tobacco is good to smoke. Father, drink some water. Joe Mikang hurriedly handed him the tea again. Lin Bao he took the teacup, hesitant to speak, and then looked at his daughter for help. Chu Xia was looking at the cigarette butts in the ashtray. There were 6 cigarettes in total. She had been here last time, so she knew that the men in Joe's family didn't smoke very much. If they drink alcohol, cigarettes are almost a decoration. Seeing his daughter's frown slightly frowned, Lin Bao he quickly explained, Xia, it's not that Dad wants to smoke, it's he didn't know what to say later. He felt that if he said that he was forced to smoke, he seemed a little clueless. Father, smoke less in the future. It's not good for your health in front of outsiders. Chu Xia certainly won't let her father down. Her father smokes so many cigarettes? Sensing the unkind look in Chu Xia's eyes, Joe Mikang was full of bitterness and had no place to pour it out. Of course he knew that the old man should not be allowed to smoke so much, but every time the old man finished smoking and he poured water for him, he would, after taking the cigarette handed by others and lighting it, he couldn't snatch the cigarette from the old man's mouth and throw it away, could he? At the same time, he can't reprimand those grandfathers, uncles, and brothers who give cigarettes in front of his father-in-law. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 138. One more. Special thanks to those who voted for Nuan 2 days ago. After Nuan lost, Nuan is about to start fighting, and it's 3 more today. Mikang Tongzi, who was always so bullish, even stumbled and couldn't speak at times. The expressions of grandpa, father, uncle, and buddies are even more exciting. Grandpa Joe, ahaha, this plague god has finally found his nemesis, ahahaha. Father Joe, brat, when will I have such an attitude towards me? My life is not in vain. Uncle Tuesday, ha ha ha, someone will be in charge from now on, the new boss of this family, is born. Brother Joe, third son, you fell into the hands of such a little brat, let's see how you behave in the future, ha ha ha, you must tell all the family members who didn't come, ha ha ha. The thoughts of several people were clearly on their faces. Joe Mikang glanced around warningly, and hurriedly served tea to Zhao Yushin, who had been huddling aside and pretending to be the background board. Uncle, drink tea. At this moment, I saw Lin Bao he get up with a whoosh, rushed towards the door with lightning speed, opened the door, and quickly disappeared. Father. Chu Xia was slightly taken aback, and hurriedly chased him out. Xia. Zhao Yulan, who had been quietly keeping an eye on her daughter's situation, got up quickly and ran out following her daughter's footsteps. Li Aiwan, who was setting up the background board on the female guest's side, got up with trembling legs, and looked at Zhao Yushin, who was holding a cup of tea and staring out in a daze. His father. Zhao Yushin smiled uncomfortably and put down his teacup. He waved his hands to the people who had already got up and planned to chase outside. It's okay, it's okay. You don't need to go out, Bao he is fine. It was indeed surprising that a large group of people chased them out. Joe Mikang stretched out his hand to block the crowd. Just go and have a look. After speaking, he pulled Zhou Zikang, who was still in a daze, and staggered and dragged the other party out. This is, Mr. Zhou looked at Zhao Yushin suspiciously, begging for advice. The female guests also looked at him eagerly, begging for information. But Lin Bao he went out, looked around, and ran straight to the small path on the right. Father. Chu Xia called out. Stamping her feet anxiously, she continued to chase. Zhao Yulan was strong and caught up with her daughter in 2 steps. Xia, don't worry about it, I'll go find your father. Mother. Chu Xia also realized now. Why did her father run out, so he stopped. Mother, I'll wait for you here, remember to come back the same way. And Zhao Yulan responded and turned a corner. Quickly disappeared. Lin Chuxia. Zhou Mikang pulled Zhou Zikang and chased after him. Did you lose it? Chu Xia shook his head and stared at him with displeasure. You have a grudge against my father, right? Either force him to smoke or force him to drink water. What do you want to do? When she said this, Zhou Mikang immediately realized that something had happened. His face immediately flushed red with regret. Chu Xia wanted to tear him apart right now, and at the same time was annoyed by her lack of thoughtfulness. Not to mention the countryside in this day and age, not every household in the city has a toilet. Taking a step back, even if Lin Bao he knew that the Zhou family's toilet was indoors, he would be embarrassed to ask. The key question now is that her father will definitely feel that she has lost face later, and it will be even more uncomfortable to go to Zhou's house. Thinking of this, she gouged out Zhou Mikang again. The head of the group, Tongzi, was regretting his ignorance at this time, and he would not express any objection to Chu Xia's censure, and showed a rare smile to Chu Xia. You wait here, I will go find them. I'll go too. Zhou Zikang hurriedly stepped up and let him be with the three future siblings. He didn't have the guts, he didn't have a good look at the devil incarnation, and he probably didn't look good at him. You stay here with her. Zhou Mikang pushed Zhou Zikang back, took a step with his long legs, and quickly turned the corner. Brothers and sisters. Zhou Zikang smiled at Chu Xia, feeling a little uncomfortable. How about we move forward and wait at the corner? Okay, Chu Xia responded and emphasized, you should call me by my name. Okay, Xiaolin, he. Zhou Zikang stretched his neck and took a look at the distance, then turned his head and smiled at Chu Xia, then stretched his neck to take a look. He was not at ease, and Chu Xia was not at ease either. The two of them just stood there staring into the distance like giraffes. Brothers Isa, what are you looking at? Accompanied by the voice of inquiry, a 23-year-old girl stretched her neck and stared in the direction the two of them were looking at, from afar. The girl, who watched for a long time and didn't see anything unusual, couldn't help poking Zhou Zikang lightly. Brothers Isa, what are you looking at? It's nothing. Of course Zhou Zikang didn't see the girl just now. He ignored her, but he didn't know how to explain to her. He couldn't pretend to be stupid when he was poked on the arm by the other party, so he smiled. Zioxiu didn't do anything today. Work. Come back for lunch, so I just saw you. The girl looked around. Chu Xia pulled Zhou Zikang to the side, and lowered her voice, is this new to your family? With Mr. Zhou's level and Zhou Jingping's level, the Zhou family can be equipped with 4 guards and 2 nannies, but now there are only 2 guards and 1 nanny. No. Zhou Zikang was about to cover the girl's mouth in horror, but the other party approached Chu Xia with a smile. Hello, my name is Zhang Shui, and I live here. Cottage. Hello. Chu Xia responded politely, ignoring the other party's inquiry. Your relatives. Zhang Shui had no choice but to turn her gaze to Zhou Zikang again. Lin Chuxia, the fiancé of the third child. Zhou Zikang simply told the truth. He didn't dare to make up anything. If the third child in his family knew about it, he might be skinned. Sweat. What? The girl's voice suddenly increased, her eyes doubled in size, and then she screamed, Grandma, Mom, come out, come out. Zhou Zikang covered his head with a headache. The door of the villa opened, and an old lady and a woman in her 40s ran out in a hurry. Zioxiu, what's the matter? Seeing the other party standing there, the two breathed a sigh of relief. What's wrong? You frightened me to death, said the middle-aged woman. Grandma, Mom, look, this is the third brother's fiancé. Brother 11Z, I just said that this is the third brother's fiancé. Zhang Shui pointed to Chu Xia and actively introduced to the two, with a little excitement on her face. Grandma Zhang, Aunt Zhang. Zhou Zikang greeted them both with a dry smile. Zizig, why don't you go in when you're here? Mrs. Zhang smiled and pulled Josei Kang up. When will your wife give your grandma a great-grandson? Your grandma just talked about it when she saw me, you have to hurry. Grandma, didn't you hear what I said? This is brother Mi's fiancé. The corners of Chu Xia's mouth twitched, and the third brother Honey, why not just Honey Three Knives? The old lady Zhang finally turned her attention to Chu Xia belatedly, and went back and forth several times. Just when Chu Xia couldn't stand it anymore and wanted to run away, the old lady finally said, "Girl, eat more, you are too weak. If that little bandit, Xiaomi, bullies you, come to Grandma Zhang, and Grandma will beat him up for you." Mom. Aunt Zhang pulled the old lady, and smiled apologetically at Chu Xia. Xiaomi is as old as my second child. She often played at my house when she was young. My old lady treats him as her own grandson, hee hee. Grandma Zhang, hello Aunt Zhang reaching out without hitting the smiling face, both of them showed kindness, so Chu Xia greeted each other politely. Look at me, I'm so confused, I forgot to introduce. Josei Kang hurried forward. Sisters and sisters, Grandpa Zhang and our grandfather are brothers who have carried guns together. Grandma Zhang is the same as our own grandma Aunt Zhang, and our grandma just like my own mother, Grandma Zhang. Aunt Zhang, Chu Xia is my third brother's fiancé, it's already been settled, hee hee. Zhang Shui jumped out dissatisfied. Brother Zizi, you are wrong, why didn't you introduce me, am I not the same as your own sister? Then she took Chu Xia's arm affectionately, Sister me. Chu Xia trembled all over, and interrupted her hastily, well, you can call me Lin Chuxia, I have a name, and my name is Lin Chuxia. I am not Mi Sanzao, I am more like Mi Sangha than Mi San Three Knives, there is wood. However, Zhang Shui refused to obey and said, no, I will call Mi Sanzao, you are Mi Sangha's fiancé, of course it is my Mi San's sister. Is there such a person? Chu Xia has black hair, she has never hoped Zhou Mikang will appear so urgently, this family is too familiar, is it right? Josei Kang, it's too weak, is it okay? Zizi, what are you doing here? Aunt Zhang looked in the direction the two were looking at for a while, and couldn't help asking. Oh, my third brother accompanied the parents of the third brother and sister to visit the yard. The third brother and sister trained all day yesterday and were too tired. The third brother asked me to wait here with her. This time, Josei Kang's reaction was not slow, and his answer was quite reasonable. Chu Xia quietly wiped the sweat from his forehead, and couldn't help laughing to himself. Josei Kang just didn't feel comfortable getting along with her, which didn't mean he was stupid. Who grows up in the family, can be a fool. Then go in and sit for a while, what are you doing standing here? Mrs. Zhang stepped forward and pulled Chu Xia affectionately, the third child has a good eye, this girl is very attractive at first glance, in 2 years, the girl and daughter-in-law in this courtyard nothing compares. Sister-in-law Mi-san is so handsome, Zhang Shui stared straight at her as if her eyes were glued to Chu Xia's face, no wonder brother Mi-san used to look down on others, dare you, he likes handsome, by May. As soon as she said this, Aunt Zhang coughed forcefully, and said in a hurry, yes, Xiaolin is really handsome. As for Bai Mei, no one in this yard can match her. Chu Xia has black hair, what Zhang Shui wanted to say just now is more handsome than Myru, right? Hee hee, should she be happy or unhappy about such a review? First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 139. The second watch arrives, and there is another watch. Estimated time, my father will come here soon, if you see a group of people around here, how embarrassed will you be? But it was not easy for her to drive these people back, so she thought about it for a while and looked at Josei Kang, brother, I have rested. Josei Kang also reacted quickly, and immediately waved goodbye to several people, Grandma Zhang, Aunt Zhang, turn around and me and the third child will see you and Grandpa Zhang and Uncle Zhang. Old Madam Zhang smiled and said, don't forget to bring Miss Xiaolin with you. That's right, you must bring Mrs. me, Zhang Shui said while stepping forward to grab Chu Xia, sister-in-law me, you must come to my house as a guest, it's great that you can marry brother me. Mi Sanchao shouted at each other, didn't listen to what she said, didn't believe what she said. Chu Xia was really defeated by her, so she had to smile perfunctorily, okay, I will definitely come. After walking for a long time, until they turned the corner, Chu Xia breathed a sigh of relief when they couldn't feel the gazes of everyone. Mother, this family is so enthusiastic. For such a long time, Zhou Mikang has not brought Lin Baohe and his wife here, only to explain one problem, where Lin Baohe has gone. Worried about Chu Xia's embarrassment, Zhou Zikang took the initiative to find a topic. The Zhang family and our family have a long relationship. They really hope that Xiaomi will live well. They like you, and they are sincere. Although Chu Xia and Zhou Zikang met for the second time, it can be seen that he and Zhou Mikang have completely different temperaments, and he is a very easygoing person, so he boldly asked, I feel their enthusiasm is a bit too much, is there any reason? This. Zhou Zikang hesitated in embarrassment. It's not a secret, but it's up to him to tell his future siblings. It always feels inappropriate. Besides, he didn't know if the third brother had told Chu Xia about Yamiru, in case his talkativeness caused further problems. Thinking so, he hurriedly said, there's no big reason for this, it's just that the two families left it so close, Xiaomi is so old and has no family, they will inevitably be anxious. That's it? Those two families are really close. Seeing that he wasn't telling the truth, Chu Xia didn't expose it. She was the one who was abrupt. Even if the other party was easygoing, how could he really know everything about her? Yeah, Grandpa Zhang and our grandpa are friends who came out of the trenches. They like to bicker when they meet. They like to fight for you to lose and I win in a game of chess. It really happens. They are absolutely indiscriminate. Just stand on the same front as the other side. Because the old brothers have a good relationship, the relationship between Grandma Zhang and our grandma is also very good. Uncle Zhang and our dad grew up together, and we also grew up with the younger generations of the Zhang family. The relationship between the three generations is very good. In addition, Jiang's elders also worry about things that our parents worry about. You'll know when you get married in the future, and the two families will only eat in the same pot. In fact, when we were young, I often go to Grandpa Jiang's house to eat and drink. Hearing Zhou Zikang's rambling explanations, the corners of Chu Xia's mouth curled up. Obviously, he didn't tell the truth to himself, and he felt guilty, so he explained the relationship between the two families to her in detail. Just when Zhou Zikang had nothing to say, the figures of Zhou Mikang and Lin Baohe finally appeared in the sight of the two of them, and Chu Xia hurriedly greeted them. Lin Baohe's head almost dropped to the ground. Xia. Zhao Yulan also looked uncomfortable. Xia. Especially when she saw Zhou Zikang, she was so embarrassed that she couldn't say anything. Mother, it's okay, don't blame Dad, Chu Xia said while stepping forward to hold Lin Baohe's arm, calling softly, Dad. Lin Baohe raised his head, his face flushed red. Xia, Dad has shamed you. What shame? Chu Xia looked straight at Zhou Mikang. Do you feel ashamed? Of course not, Zhou Mikang smiled wryly. I explained to my parents all the way, but they just can't get over this hurdle. If you want can you get through this hurdle? Chu Xia stared at him angrily. My father is in front of you, and you just humiliate him like that. Zhou Mikang, you sincerely want to marry me, and sincerely treat my parents as yours parents. Xia Zhao Yulan hurriedly tugged on her daughter's sleeve. Mother, it's his fault. When we came to Zhou's house, who else do we know besides him? He doesn't know how to protect us, who else can protect us? Chu Xia stood up straight. Zhou Mikang, I agreed to marry you, but the premise is that you must respect my family, but now you are simply playing my father like a monkey. My father has been to the farthest place in his life, which is our county, and the most powerful family, which is my second aunt's house. We are from a small place, and you don't know. You said, can we be at ease after going to your house? My father doesn't talk much in the first place, and when he gets nervous, he doesn't know what to say. People in your family may think that my father only drinks water and smokes. It's self-inflicted to toss yourself like this. But have you ever thought about it? He is so nervous that he doesn't know how to refuse. In his eyes, you are all indomitable figures, and he doesn't know how to refuse what you asked him to do. All of this is your responsibility. Yes, yes, it is my responsibility. Zhou Mikang nodded again and again. Father, mother, please forgive me. I was also nervous when I saw you for the first time, so I wanted to take good care of my father. As a result, the more nervous I became, the more trouble I had. I'm sorry, what Chu Xia said is right, it's all my responsibility. The third child in his family made a mistake. The third child of his family's incarnate devil actually admitted his mistake. Zhou Zikang's eyes were as wide as a bullseye, and he secretly rejoiced that he hadn't told Chu Xia the truth about the Zhang family's enthusiasm just now. Otherwise, if this girl wanted to part ways with the third child would not have given himself to him. Dismembered. Regardless of whether the third child admits it or not, he can see that the third child is really different from Lin Chuxia. The third son of his family is so old, who dares to discipline him like the third grandson? Anyway, he hadn't seen it. But today, he met. Chu Xia's reprimand to Zhou Mikang finally made Lin Baohe get out of his entangled emotions, and smiled at Zhou Mikang in embarrassment. I don't blame you, it's my fault, so I can't blame you. When I entered your house all of a sudden, I had nowhere to put my hands and feet, and I didn't know what to say to you. At that time, I was thinking, as long as I don't talk heresy, it represented the Lin family's heart. As a result, he said, his face turned flushed up. Father, it's over like this. It's okay. If their family laughs at you, we won't get married. Stupid child, how can you say such things? Lin Baohe patted his daughter's head fondly. Don't worry about you marrying Xiaozhou, father will be really relieved now, this child is sincere to you, father and mother, don't worry. Well, your father and I have the same idea. Although this incident is embarrassing, your father and I are at ease. Xiaozhou is sincere to you, which is better than anything else. Where is this all? Chu Xia was speechless, her parents were too easily satisfied, right? Seeing that he was approaching the corner, Zhou Zikang hurriedly said, Third brother, when my siblings and I were waiting for you, we met Zhang Shui, and she called Grandma Zhang and Aunt Zhang out. Then they. Zhao Yulan looked at Chu Xia worriedly, do you know? No, brother Zhou reacted very quickly. Chu Xia explained Zhou Zikang's response. Hearing what she said, both Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe breathed a sigh of relief. If they were ashamed and thrown to other families, they would really have no face to see their in-laws from now on. Xiaozhou, thank you. Zhao Yulan thanked Zhou Zikang with a grateful face. It's okay, Zhou Zikang quickly waved his hands, actually, it's not a problem at all. I explained it to them because I didn't want to embarrass my uncle and aunt. No, that's not what I meant, I just said. Chu Xia interrupted him with a smile, Brother Zhou, you explained it to the Zhang family because you saw my father and mother's tender skin. We understand, and it is precisely because of understanding that I thank you very much. Zhou Zikang smiled embarrassedly, it should be, we are a family. A few people walked to the building of Jiang's house. Zhang Shui rushed out, greeted Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan with a smile, followed behind them, and followed to Zhou's house. At the door of Zhou's house, Zhou Mikang turned around and stared at her coldly, okay, just send it here, Let's go back. Brother honey. Stared at by Joe Mikang, she hurriedly waved her hands and backed away, but quickly shouted in a shrill voice, Grandma Joe, I'm here to see you, me Sangha won't let me in. Boom, Joe Mikang shut her directly outside and plugged the latch from the inside, then turned around and smiled at Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan, Father, Mother, today is our own business, we don't let outsiders blend. Xiaozhou, I'm convinced of your son-in-law. Lin Baohe patted him vigorously, how could he not understand Joe Mikang's intention in doing this? It's nothing more than worrying that Joe's family has slipped up and he won't be able to keep his face. Although such a man is not so polite and upright sometimes, he is really relieved that his daughter marries such a person, and he treats them like this because he cares about her daughter. He understands this reason. Looking back, he wanted to talk to his daughter well, how could he do it in front of outsiders, so he wouldn't come to power if he didn't give his son-in-law down? When it comes to his family's conditions, he should hold him in high esteem. What's more, he really made a mistake at that time, so how could he blame them all? No, he must discipline his daughter well in the future. Of course Chu Xia didn't know, just for a while, her father looked at Joe Mikang like a father-in-law looking at his son-in-law, and the more he watched, the more satisfied he was. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 140. It's 3 o'clock. All the people in the room had already understood the reason for Lin Baohe's sudden run away under the hesitant explanation of Chu Xia's uncle Zhao Yushan. In order not to cause Lin Baohe's embarrassment, everyone was determined not to chase him out for a week. However, after waiting for a while, it was enough to worry about. Now, seeing the group of people come back, they all breathed a sigh of relief. However, they didn't deliberately welcome them out. They just casually greeted them to sit down after they entered the room, as if they didn't care what Lin Baohe did when he suddenly ran out. Generally, this cold treatment made Lin Baohe's heart, which was about to jump out of his throat, a little calmer. Of course, he is not stupid, it is impossible to really think that everyone knows nothing. After hesitating, he stood up suddenly, his face flushed slightly, Mr. Joe, Mrs. Joe, Brother Joe, Sister-in-law Joe, Brother Joe, Sister-in-law Joe, and everyone sitting here, I, Lin Baohe, am a farmer in a small place, haven't seen anything in the world. I never imagined that one day my daughter would marry into such a wealthy family. When we met for the first time, I was really nervous. I was stupid and didn't know what to say. Sincerity. I don't know, I'm not heretic, and I did such a shameful thing, but I don't want you to have any opinion of my daughter because of my performance. We are a small family, but my daughter-in-law and I grew up holding hands together. She is the treasure of our couple. We just thought that she could find a man who knows the cold and the hot, and live a lifetime in peace. Me and her mother. It never occurred to her to enjoy wealth and marry into the Zhou family. It was us who climbed high in early summer. But, if I know that the Zhou family looks down on my daughter. At the risk of my life, I want to fight for justice for my daughter. Baohe, what are you talking nonsense? Zhao Yushan hurried forward to pull him, and smiled at everyone. My brother-in-law has a good heart, a good temper, and is good to everyone, but there is one thing, as long as it is about his daughter he is not the honest man anymore, he really loves Chu Xia, and what he said is true. The corners of Mrs. Zhou's mouth twitched imperceptibly. Is this to give the Zhou family eye drops together? She couldn't say she was satisfied or dissatisfied with Chu Xia, anyway, she wasn't as anxious as her daughter-in-law, in her eyes. Joe Mikang is absolutely outstanding, and he is absolutely not worried about his daughter-in-law. There is nothing to worry about, isn't it just late to have a great-grandson? There is one Mr. Boss. Just hug it, so why hurry to urge the third child? However, the Zhou family has always had clear rights and responsibilities. His father, Zhou Jingping, and his mother, Lin Yangkaiu, were the ones to worry about Zhou Mikang's marriage. He was a grandmother. I just express an opinion occasionally, even if I disagree with my daughter-in-law's approach. Nor did she explicitly object. But today, Lin Baohe made a fool of herself first, and then came to this speech. She was really upset. You haven't seen the world, are you still reasonable? Still coming to threaten the Zhou family? Joke. My Zhou family is willing to marry your daughter, because your ancestors burned incense. From her point of view, the Lin family wanted to fight for the status of the daughter before she was married, and didn't take pictures of her piss. Are they qualified to compete for status? If Xiaomi hadn't gone through all these things, his father, mother, and sister-in-law would have wished she was a girl, so they would hurry up, and would it be the turn of the daughter of the Lin family to marry into the Zhou family? Thinking of this in her heart, the old lady Zhou smiled and said, Comrade Lin is right, every child is a treasure in the hands of parents, and our Zhou family is not bullying others. In terms of family background, there is no comparison between the Lin family and the Zhou family. However, as long as Xiaomi is interested in someone, we will treat her well. However, Comrade Lin, it is better to say that it is better to be in the front. When Miss Lin married into the Zhou family, she would inevitably have to attend some occasions. There are some etiquettes that must be paid attention to. This is related to the face of the Zhou family. When the time comes, I hope that Comrade Lin will take more care of her. Lin Baohe was a little dazed when he heard Mrs. Zhou's slightly polite words, but he still understood the meaning. He expressed dissatisfaction with him. I hope he will not interfere. Well, that should be what it means. Ever since he came to Zhou's house, Lin Baohe's eyes had been on the Zhou family's men. He didn't recognize any of the women in Zhou's family, including which ones were his future in-laws. At this moment, looking carefully at Mrs. Zhou's eyes, and then looking at the ages of other people, I can roughly know who this is, so I smiled. Madam, I am a big boss, but I am not ignorant. Teach my daughter good things, I will definitely not find faults. The implication is that if you are provocative, don't blame me for being rude. When Chu Xia looked at her father, her eyes were slightly moist. Is this her father? That father who walks in with trembling calves and can't speak a word? As long as it's about her, her father is like a different person. She even believes that even if the president of the country wronged her a few words, his father can still talk about it. But at the same time, she also believed that even if a county magistrate wronged Lin Baohe would keep silent and not argue. This is her father, Lin Baohe. When it comes to his daughter, no matter how big a person is, he will not be embarrassed. When it comes to himself, no matter how small a person is, he will not be bloody. Zhou Mikang looked at Lin Baohe with the same respect. He likes bloody men. Being bloody doesn't mean that you are rampant and love to fight, but that when someone you value encounters a problem, you will stand up for the first time and face it bravely. This is Zhou Mikang's theory and does not represent anyone. Brother Lin, Zhou Jingping paused for a while, then walked 2 steps forward with a smile, holding Lin Baohe's big hand and shaking it back and forth. Dear family, you are too fond of me, ha ha ha, we brothers must drink 2 more drinks at noon today. Cup. Cough, Mrs. Zhou coughed heavily. Mom, if you have a bad throat, drink some cough syrup. Zhou Jingping dragged Lin Baohe to sit next to him as he said, so the intimacy was nothing to mention. Seeing her mother-in-law was so angry that her lips were trembling, Lin Yangkai hurriedly stepped forward to help Mrs. Zhou up. Mother, you are tired, I will help you go back to the house and rest for a while talking. She gave her 2 daughters a look. It's a pity that the 2 sisters of the Zhou family who were shocked by Chu Xia's father first, and then by their own father, completely lost the help-seeking eyes that their old mother threw over. Helpless, Lin Yangqiu had no choice but to smile at Zhao Yulan and Li Aiwan apologetically. I'm sorry, my mother-in-law cannot bear the fatigue. I will help her go to her room to rest, and I will be right back. Aunt Zhou, my child's father is an idiot, he doesn't speak much, so don't be angry with him. Zhao Yulan hurriedly apologized to the old lady Zhou. I'm not angry with him, I'm really weak. Mrs. Zhou waved her hand, turned and walked to her room. Is it really settled for their house? Mrs. Zhou asked her daughter-in-law as soon as she entered the house. Mother, are you still thinking about that girl from the Ye family? Lin Yangqiu frowned. Mother, why are you so confused? Even if she comes back, will our youngest still want her? When everyone makes mistakes, Xiaomi doesn't care about others. Otherwise, the child can't go the wrong way. Mrs. Zhou waved her hand. It's too far away from our home. You just say that what her father did today is ugly. If it really gets out, what will people think of our Zhou family? I really can't find a daughter-in-law, and be in-laws with such a family. Also, look at her father, who obviously has nothing, and is still acting like something. If you really want to get married, you don't know how to behave. Our Mimi grows up so big, who did you see him humiliating to? Yangqiu, when I saw it, I couldn't help but feel uncomfortable. Hey, I didn't have a good impression of this girl from the Lin family. Now that I see her parents, I really feel that this is not a good match. Think about it, you too. Mother Lin Yangqiu smiled bitterly. Mimi is your grandson, you should know his temperament. If this marriage fails, and let him have the idea of getting married again, it may be a year or a month. Mother can wait, but I can't wait. The eldest has been married for more than a year, and Yue's stomach has not moved, and she is too embarrassed to go to the doctor. Tell me, if this is really impossible, what should I do? For mother and father, the roots of any child are the roots of the Zhou family, but for me and Jingping, the children of Zikang and Mikang are our roots. Mother, anyway, I really like this girl from the Lin family, and Jingping is quite satisfied with her, so please don't make any more troubles, I beg you, okay? Forget it, I don't care. Anyway, Mimi is your child, I don't interfere, I just say what I think. As for whether you listen or not, that's your business. When you really encounter the troubles I mentioned in the future, don't think I didn't remind you. That's it, I'm done talking, you go out to greet them, and bring lunch to my room. Mother. Lin Yangqiu, who had already moved a little bit, frowned when she heard her last sentence. It's the first time for my in-laws to come, so you are like this. You don't listen to my opinion, why should I listen to you? The old lady waved her hand annoyedly. I want to be quiet, you go out. Lin Yangqiu had no choice but to back out. During lunch, Lin Baohe, Zhao Yulan and his wife, as well as Zhao Yushan and Li Aiwan, didn't see the old lady, so of course they understood the general idea, but they didn't regret it. For the future of their daughter, niece, they must fight together. After the meal, Mr. Zhou was the first to speak. Family, you have come all the way, why don't we settle the children's marriage right now, how about it? First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 141. One more. There will be one change today, 3 changes tomorrow, and 1 change at noon. Dear friends, you can watch it at 12 noon tomorrow. In-laws, you have come all the way, why don't we settle the children's marriage now, how about it? After Mr. Zhou's words fell, Chu Xia's heart swished to his throat, his eyes flicked on Zhou Mikang's body, and he looked at his parents nervously. Coming from the 21st century, although she has been trying her best to convince herself that early marriage is fine, but when the real thing comes to an end, she finds it difficult to accept it. The marriage law at this time still stipulates that the age for marriage is 20 for men and 18 for women. She is only a few months away from her 18th birthday. Considering Zhou Mikang's age and achievements, I believe it is not difficult to register a few months earlier. If she was born a few years later, how good would it be? Well, she can't be so greedy. She is 5 years younger than before for no reason. There is no free lunch in the world. She should be content. She tried hard to persuade herself, but unfortunately, why is she still so sad? Woolen cloth. Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe didn't expect Mr. Zhou to be so eager to propose marriage. They looked at each other, then looked at Zhao Yushan. Zhao Yushan had a terrible headache because of the unreliability of the couple before, so seeing the two looking at him, they kept going. The sun winked at them, telling them not to make any more troubles. It's hard to find such a thing with a lantern, so why hesitate? Besides, what my brother-in-law said just now. Even ordinary families can turn their faces on the spot, right? Look at Mr. Zhou and Mr. Zhou, they didn't refute half of the word no. On the contrary, Mrs. Zhou's performance was normal. The old lady Zhou who flirted was regarded by Zhao Yushan as the only normal person. Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe understood what Zhao Yushan meant. They were very entangled in their hearts. They were very satisfied with Zhou Mikang and made up their minds to let their daughter marry him. However, when they were really proposed, their hearts were full of reluctance. When the daughter didn't have a husband's family, they hoped that the daughter would settle down with a good family sooner, but they really did. Why is my heart so empty? Well, the couple felt exactly the same as Chu Xia. The silence of the few people made Mr. Zhou a little surprised. Ever since the Lin family entered the Zhou family, his lack of self-confidence and lack of success were all on his face. Because of lack of self-confidence, I tried my best to give my daughter a little more status in the husband's family. He can understand Lin Baohe's feelings as a father, so he didn't express any dissatisfaction with his impoliteness, but it was impossible for him to have no grudges in his heart. Otherwise, he would not really allow his wife not to appear at the luncheon. To be fair, Lin Chuxia married into the Zhou family. It's Gao Pen, if it wasn't for his grandson being too stubborn. How could the Zhou family accept a girl from such a background to marry in? The Zhou family doesn't care about anything, but Lin Baohe wants to fight for so much for his daughter. Not to mention marrying into a family like theirs, even an ordinary family. You can't be as comfortable as you are in your natal family when you marry into someone else's daughter-in-law, right? Well, because Lin Baohe only had one daughter, he forgave him, but now they have agreed to everything and let him everything. Why are they still hesitating? Is it possible that you want more benefits? Thinking of this, the friendly smile on Mr. Zhou's face faded slightly. Zhou Jingping and Mr. Zhou have different ideas. He feels that if Lin Baohe and his wife really agree to this marriage without hesitation at this moment, then Lin Baohe's previous performance is worthy of questioning. Seeing the expression on the old man's face now, he knew that he was unhappy. Afraid that the old man would say something that would make it difficult for everyone to step down, Zhou Jingping quickly smiled and looked at Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan. Brother Lin, younger sister, I also you can see that Chu Xia is the lifeblood of you too. Don't worry, she is the treasure of our Zhou family when she marries into the Zhou family, and we promise not to treat her badly. Yes, brothers and sisters, being my daughter-in-law in early summer is just like my daughter. If she does something wrong, I will definitely say it, but I will definitely love her like my daughter Lin Yangkai. Followed by Jing Jing. She was not happy about Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan's hesitation before, but she understood when her husband said so. She had 5 children of her own, and when she lost Rao Rao, she almost followed her. The 4 of them now are all dear to her heart. Comparing her heart to heart, she immediately understood the hesitation of Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan. After understanding, she felt a little more favorable towards their hesitation. If she really took a fancy to the big family of the Zhou family, at this moment, the two couples should have agreed happily. Seeing that both Zhou Jingping and Lin Yangkai had spoken, Tuesday's uncle Zhou Gangping and Liang's second aunt Liang Xiaohong also said a few nice words, and then Zhou Zikang, Zhou Jiping, and Zhou Xiangping's sisters also expressed their opinions one by one. Of course, they didn't take Lin Baohe's and Zhao Yulan's hesitation seriously, but since the elders have expressed their attitude, and they have an attitude that they must win, then all they can do is cooperate. Besides, with regard to the bad temper and stubbornness of the third child, let him ask for a wife earlier. Maybe, having a daughter-in-law can really improve his temper. This is what they both look forward to. Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan were a little overwhelmed by the crowd's bombardment. They also knew that, given their family's conditions, they really had no right to hesitate so much, but they really couldn't do it if they were asked to agree. The eyes turned to Zhou Mikang, who was clasping his left hand with his right hand. The couple hesitated even more. Knowing daughters is better than parents. The couple could clearly feel their daughter's apprehension and fear. Because of this, they became more and more hesitant when they were clearly satisfied with Zhou Mikang, and it became more and more difficult to make up their minds to agree to it. Let's discuss it with Chu Xia before making a decision, shall we? Finally, Lin Baohe spoke, looking at Mr. Zhou with obvious guilty conscience. After this meeting, Mr. Zhou's mood has completely calmed down, so he smiled and nodded at him. It should be, I was the one who was rude about this, haha. Don't Lin Chuxia's grandparents need to participate in the opinion? Mrs. Zhou's voice suddenly sounded, and when they followed the voice, the door was closed again. This old woman. Mr. Zhou shook his head helplessly. Xiao Lin, Xiao Zhao, don't be under psychological pressure. This old woman has such a bad temper. She is not targeting your daughter, she just likes to fight against me. Generally, I support it. The thing is, she always wants to fight me, but in the end, she will follow my heart. However, what she just said is true. Should I ask the child's grandparents for their opinions on this marriage? If necessary, we can push back a little bit. Zhou Jingping stroked his forehead secretly. Obviously, his old man still blamed Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan a little bit, otherwise, he would not have made the latter proposal. This. Zhao Yulan glanced at her husband and felt a little at a loss. The marriage in Chu Xia doesn't need the old lady of the Lin family to make up her mind, but if she answers too affirmatively now, will the Zhou family look down on Chu Xia? But if she said she needed the old man's opinion, what if the Zhou family really went to ask the old man's opinion? Although those two clearly expelled their family from the Lin family at the time, if they knew that Chu Xia had the opportunity to marry into the Zhou family now, they would never let go of such a good opportunity. At that time, the old couple will open their mouths, not to mention whether the Zhou family should or should not, their family will lose their face. No, we must not let the old couple get involved in this matter. Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan had the same thought. For a while, the couple got stuck there, their foreheads sweating from anxiety, but they couldn't find a suitable explanation. My grandparents won't participate in my marriage. Chu Xia stood up, her small face tensed. Grandpa Zhou, Uncle Zhou, and everyone sitting here, I don't know now. What do you guys think when a girl enters the door? So, I'm very nervous. I'm not yet 18 years old, and I've always felt that marriage is far away from me. Now, it's suddenly put on the agenda, and I'm not used to it. My parents didn't dare to agree immediately, probably because they sensed my anxiety and resistance. They love me, so they consider everything for me. Similarly, I love them and don't want them to continue to embarrass them. Our family has long been separated from the Lin family by my grandparents. If I ask their opinions now, it will only make it difficult for my parents. Moreover, the consequences of asking for their opinions are not what the Zhou family wants. We are all smart people, and we all understand the rest without saying anything. Such things as marrying or not can't come out of her mouth, so when it came to this, Chu Xia smiled at everyone and sat back down again. Lin Chuxia, come out. Zhou Mikang suddenly stood up, turned and walked outside. Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan stood up reflexively, looking at their daughter with worries. It's okay, Dad, Mom, sit down first. Patting her parents comfortingly, Chusia followed them out. After leaving the yard, turn right, and there is a beautiful small garden. Jo Mikang sat down at a small round table with Chusia, staring at her expressionlessly, without saying a word for a long time. What do you mean? Chusia looked straight at him without fear. You came out to me, just to kill me with an eye knife. The corners of Jo Mikang's mouth twitched slightly. Dad and Mother are here, and you are getting fatter, right? Yes, Chusia straightened her back. You think you're the only one with support? Humph, so do I. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 142. 10 minutes late, admit your mistake. Lin Chuxia. Jo Mikang narrowed his long and narrow phoenix eyes. Do you still remember what you told me? What words? Chuxia looked confused. Which sentence are you referring to? You have promised to marry me. Now, what does that mean? Jo Mikang frowned tightly. Isn't it fun to be the opposite of what you promised? I wanted to refute, but then stopped with a guilty conscience. Yes, she had already agreed to him, it's just that her parents came too suddenly, which made the date of putting this matter on the agenda earlier, that's all. But no matter what, it is a fact that she has already agreed, and if she is so ambiguous now, it is her fault to be wronged. But, originally, she was not willing to accept it. She's just, Chuxia was so anxious that sweat broke out on her forehead, trying to find a reasonable reason for herself, but she couldn't find any. You also know that you are wrong, right? Jo Mikang looked at her leisurely. Lin Chuxia, even if you are a woman, you can't treat what you said as non-existent, right? Is there anyone who is so stubborn and doesn't let go of his claws? If he hadn't forced her to marry him, if he hadn't exerted all kinds of pressure, would she have responded? It is almost predictable that if she refuses to agree, then every leader will talk to her. This is the case in this era, and they will not treat these little female soldiers fairly at all. That's right, it would be nice to say it one by one, if you don't want to. You cannot marry, but the meaning inside and outside the words is basically the same. If you don't marry, you have no thoughts and no consciousness, so, wait for promotion, go dreaming. How many people, just because of this unfairness, married all kinds of men they didn't want to marry? He's still holding onto it and won't let go. Did he really think he was right? Jo Mikang, remember I asked, do you like me? Your answer is yes. In the future, you will like me. In other words, you don't like me at all now. Then, why do you still have to marry me? Chuxia staring straight at him, you have seen my attitude, I am unwilling to marry, and you should know why I married you. So, now I ask you to think about it carefully and marry me. Is it really what you want? Do you really not care if you marry a woman who doesn't have you in her heart and go home? You will have me in your heart. Jo Mikang waved his hand. It's not your concern. Chuxia was blocked for a long time and didn't get over it, this arrogant and narcissistic guy. Your grandma doesn't like me, too lazy to reason. Chuxia directly grasped the ready-made reasons. Jo Mikang stared at her, I want to marry you, not my grandma. So, you don't have to worry about her attitude, just tell me if you regret it. Chuxia blinked her big eyes, you mean, as long as I regret it, our marriage will be cancelled. What a beautiful thought, Jo Mikang snorted coldly, you can only be mine for the rest of your life, do you understand? You. Chuxia really didn't know what to say, is there such a person? Then what did he mean when he asked if she regretted it? Since anyone who regrets it or not will marry her, what's the point of asking her? Neuropathy. I'm asking you, just to make sure of your mind and see what to do next, and don't make sentimental guesses. Jo Mikang rubbed her little head while talking, to be honest, you bastard, I like the way you look, If you are crying and wanting to marry me now, I really don't mind it. You're crazy. You have not answered my question yet. You. Chu Xia stared at him resentfully, almost gritted his teeth and said, yes, I regret it. She found that he would always have the ability to make her go mad in an instant. What I'm talking about now is out of anger. Zhou Mikang waved his hand. Little girl, I asked you to come out, just to remind you not to make things difficult for your parents. If you are ambiguous, they don't know how to continue, but I believe they want you to marry me in their hearts. Besides, if you think about it, can you still meet a better man than me? This person is always like this. If you get it too easily, you won't cherish it. Otherwise, I will release those women who like me, and let you see how popular I am. You may know what to do as soon as you are stimulated. Do you have a dual personality? Chu Xia stared at him speechlessly. How can you be such a rascal? Rogue. Zhou Mikang smiled. That's right, if you're not a rascal, how can you marry a wife you like? I understand. Chu Xia curled her lips. Actually, you fell in love with me the first time you saw me, that's why you deliberately approached me afterwards. Zhou Mikang, you're screwed. Ha! Zhou Mikang laughed loudly, pointing at Chu Xia with his finger. Okay, I want to see how I get finished. The noon sun shrouded his body a little bit, giving him a bit of warmth who had always been cold and solemn. Infected by his laughter, Chu Xia also laughed. Zhou Mikang, I found that you really have a bit of a brain. It's not normal. Look at you, you look so pretty when you smile. Why do you put on a sullen face all day long, looking like you are bitter and hateful? Also, in front of your family, why do you have to be tense? Don't you think you are very tired? Home is a place where people relax, and your family loves you very much. Why don't you lean on their arms when you are tired? You think too much. Zhou Mikang suppressed his smile. Okay, go back and behave well. You. Chu Xia felt that her breath was suddenly suffocated in her heart, and she couldn't breathe because of the pressure. This man, she is so mad at her. By the way, there is something I want to ask you. Why are people from the Zhang family so enthusiastic about me? I asked your elder brother, but he didn't answer me. Zhou Mikang, who had already got up, flashed his eyes slightly, and said lightly, they are kind to you, don't think too much. Go back quickly, don't let your parents worry. If you don't tell me, I won't go back. Chu Xia shamelessly sat there. Zhou Mikang looked at her condescendingly. Believe it or not, I will carry you back. As soon as someone uttered the word cut, she felt her waist tightening, and then, what she saw was the green earth, and when she raised her feet, she saw the blue sky. If she really wanted to be carried back like this, would she have any face? Ah, I believe it, you let me go. Let me go. You never listen when you speak well. Zhou Mikang straightened her messy short hair, then rubbed it vigorously. Remember, in the future, don't talk back. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 143. The second watch arrives. When they were about to reach the gate of Zhou's house, Zhou Mikang stopped in his tracks. Lin Chuxia. Chu Xia raised his head and looked at him suspiciously. Why, he was violently picked up by the other party just now, and his anger has not completely subsided, and his tone sounded very blunt. Zhou Mikang frowned. Why did I ask you out? It's not all about you. Chu Xia muttered dissatisfiedly, stretched out her hands to rub her cheeks, took a long breath, and smiled slightly. Is that all right? Well, keep it like this. After finishing speaking, the group leader Tongzi turned around and entered the yard. Chu Xia pouted, rolled his eyes, and then quickly brewed up emotions to make his expression soothed and natural. Joe Mikang turned his head sharply, just happened to have a panoramic view of Chusea's series of facial expressions. A slight smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, and he pinched her cheeks. Be obedient. The corners of Chusea's mouth drooped quickly. Turn on, don't blame me for not cooperating. That's your parents, they didn't cooperate to show me. As he said this, the group leader's eyes quickly let go of his greasy cheeks. The two walked into the room one after the other, and Chusea reflexively looked for Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan, but before she could see the situation in the room clearly, she felt that someone was hugging her in the dark. Who is this? Chusea, who didn't know the situation, didn't dare to push around, so she tied her hands and looked around to find a savior. Little Chusea, you look so cute. Ah, I like it so much, I like it to death. Her cheeks were pinched and rubbed, and Chusea finally saw clearly that the person hugging her just now was a 40. It's a pity for a young and elegant woman. She doesn't know it. Let go. This is my daughter-in-law, it doesn't matter if you like it. Lin Yangkai rushed over anxiously. Pulling the middle-aged woman away, he rubbed Chusea's cheek in distress. Does it hurt? Come on, mom rubs it for you. Immediately, Chusea got goosebumps all over her body. She stared at Lin Yangkai in confusion. What happened? So stingy. The middle-aged woman dragged Lin Yangkai away, took Chusea's little hand and rubbed it. Little Chusea, I am Zhu Xinkan, and your teacher Jing's mother is me. Our little Zhe praises you every day. Oh, I asked him to take it home and show it to me, but unfortunately he just didn't listen. Let go of Chusea from our family. Lin Yangkai tugged on Zhu Xinkan's arm, and Zhu Xinkan held on to Chusea and would not let go. Do you love me or hate me? Love me or hate me? Chusea pulled out her little arm with a tangled face. It hurt so much. Why is she so miserable? You too, let me go. Joe Mikang stood in front of the three of them with a dark face. Hey hey. Ha ha. Almost at the same time, the two women quickly released their hands. He smiled at the head of the group in a flattering manner. Little B, long time no see, it's dark again, it looks old. Ha ha. Of course it was Zhu Xinkan who said this, and Lin Yangkai glared at her angrily. Our honey is healthy black. She doesn't look old. Don't talk nonsense here. Compared to our Zhe, he is an old man. Humph, a man is a sissy. The man is black like a bandit. Sissy. Bandit. The time when the two mothers bickered. Chusea had already been escorted back to her parents by Joe Mikang. The moment her buttocks sat firmly, Chusea finally breathed a sigh of relief. It felt so good to have her parents by her side. She completely ignored the contribution of the head of the group, Tongzi. Seeing her parents looking at her worriedly, Chusea hurriedly smiled. Father, mother, I'm fine. Joe Mikang just discussed with me about my affairs with him. It's not difficult for me to do anything else. Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe looked at their daughter a few more times, but they didn't find that her smile was far-fetched, so they breathed a sigh of relief and sat down on their buttocks. Lin Chusea. Following the warm voice, I saw Jingzhe was looking at himself with embarrassment, and Chusea stood up reflexively to say hello, Mr. Jing. Jingzhe quickly waved his paw at her like a beckoning cat. Hello early summer. Joe Mikang stepped forward and picked up Jingzhe's collar. Take your mother and leave quickly, we have business to discuss, don't let her meddle here. Jingzhe smiled wryly. Do you think I can take her away? Then he smiled apologetically at Chusea. Did my mother scratch you? Without waiting for Chusea's answer, Joe Mikang quickly asked, what do you think? Jingzhe apologized to Chusea. Lin Chusea, I'm sorry. Chusea hurriedly waved his paws. It's all right. Joe Mikang frightened her back with a sharp look at the latter words, so she shrank her neck and pretended to be an ostrich. Xiao Chusea, look how good-tempered our little Jej is, marry our little Jej. Zhu Xinkan, are you shameless? There's no way to rob someone's daughter-in-law. I'm not married yet, so whoever grabs it will be the one who gets it. You think it's a thing? It's a person, do you understand that it's a person? You understand so well, why did you let your son snatch it first? Xiao Chuxia is only so old, and you are so anxious to marry him in. Have you ever thought about how the little girl feels? Zhu Zinken, do you feel bad if you don't rob you from me? I'll grab it, what's the matter? I've taken a fancy to Xiao Chuxia, so I'll grab it? Just grab it? I have learned a lot. It's been a long time. Chu Xia's father, Chu Xia's mother, Chu Xia's uncle, Chu Xia's aunt, were all stunned. In fact, when Chu Xia and Zhou Mikang entered the door, Zhu Zinken and Jing Zhe had only been in the door for less than 2 minutes. Therefore, Xia's father, Xia, mother, uncle, and aunt Xia hadn't figured out what these two people were doing at all. Now, they know come grab a kiss. The way the four elders look at their daughter, niece, is a pride. Whose girl has been so popular? Still being robbed by two men who are hard to find even with a lantern. They ignored that the person who robbed was the two mothers, and directly blamed the victim. Seeing that the two mothers were arguing fiercely, and there was a tendency to step forward to grab Chu Xia again, Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe hurried forward to protect their daughter. Zhou Mikang's face was already darkened. If it wasn't for the fact that Zhu Zinken was an elder, he probably would have gotten up early in the morning and thrown it out. He and Jing Zhe grew up together, and the relationship between the two is pretty good, and they haven't fought much. Their mothers also have a good relationship, but they always quarrel when they meet each other. Willing to get together. The two mothers also grew up together. It is said that the two love to fight since they were young. After the fight is over, it will be easy to break their heads. However, as long as one likes something, the other must find a way to grab it. Fortunately, they are always grabbing. Or it's also because of this way of robbing, the relationship between the two mothers has always been so deformed. One is bullied by others, and the other must rush to help revenge, but there is always a fight between the two, and no one will accept the other. It is precisely because of the deformed relationship between the two that the current situation has arisen. The two of them quarreled so loudly that no one in the room stepped forward to fight. It's useless to pull them away. If you don't let them quarrel enough, they won't stop. Zhou Mikang muttered something to Mr. Zhou and his son, Mr. Zhou, before coming to Lin Baohe and the others, father, mother, uncle, aunt, let's go to the side hall. A few people hurriedly stood up, saying that it was lively and beautiful, but they always felt that it was not appropriate, but in general, they were quite happy to see this scene. At least it showed that their child is a sought-after one. Marrying her so quickly, she is destined not to suffer. Or because the noise was too engrossing, a group of people went to the side hall, where the two mothers were still arguing endlessly. When they came back to their senses, they found that there was only one audience member, Jing Zhe, left in the hall. Where are people? The two mothers said almost at the same time. Jing Zhe stood up, nodded at Lin Yangkai with a wry smile, pulled Zhu Zinken up and walked out. Mom, let's go home. Little Jej, why are you so worthless? Zhu Zinken held the door frame and stared at her son. Why do you let little be? You are the most suitable for Xiao Chuxia. You said that you should quickly express your feelings to Xiao Chuxia, but you just don't listen, which is good. Let Xiao Mifeng take advantage of the loophole, right? Mom, let's go home. Jing Zhe let out a long breath helplessly. If I knew that Chu Xia was coming today, I would never come with you. Mom, if you continue to make trouble like this, I will be really angry. Son, how could you treat Mom like this? Could it be that you just want to watch Mom lose? Ugh, I'm your own mother, how could you treat that bastard Lin Yangkai? If you give up Xiao Chuxia to little B without arguing, Mom will never have you as a son. Oh, I want to recognize Xiao Chuxia as my daughter. What is this all about? Jingzhe stroked his forehead with a headache. Mom, don't embarrass me, how can you let me deal with myself in front of Chu Xia in the future? I don't care, I want fair competition, fair competition. Otherwise, I won't let them be safe, Zhu Xingkan said resolutely. Lin Yangkai looked at a certain opened door, and frowned. Mom, you called Zhu Xingkan to report the letter, right? She's already here, why are you still hiding there? Yeah, I called Xiao Zhu. I miss her. Mrs. Zhou opened the door and came out, and said confidently, I miss Xiao Zhu and Xiao Jie, and I want to see them. Lin Yangkai stared at her displeasedly. Then why have you been hiding in the house? You two are not noisy enough, how dare I come out? Mrs. Zhou said as she stepped forward to hold Jingzhe. Xiao Jie, Grandma hasn't seen you for a long time, I really miss you. Oh, come on, stay at Grandma's house for dinner today. Jingzhe looked embarrassed. Grandma Zhou, let's change another day, today is not suitable. What's inappropriate? I say it's appropriate, Mrs. Zhou said, looking at Zhu Xingkan. Kinzi, do you want to accompany my aunt for dinner? Accompany, of course. Zhu Xingkan took the old lady Zhou's other hand, glanced at Lin Yangkai provocatively, and said again, but auntie, you won't be angry if I see Xiao Chuxia as my daughter-in-law. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 144. It's 3 o'clock, I'm hard-working Xiaomi. In the side hall, the two families gathered together, and finally reached a conclusion after discussing it. Chu Xia has only been in the army for more than half a month. It is really inappropriate to ask for leave at this time, so let's postpone the wedding a little bit and set it at 10 in the middle of the month. The weather was good at that time, and it happened to be slack for farming, so it was convenient. As for the marriage certificate, there are good reasons for the opinion of the head of the group from now on. I don't want his mother and Jingzhe's mother to be so noisy. The Zhou family unanimously agreed. The Lin family had no choice but to agree with the scene outside just now. They witnessed it with their own eyes. If they don't agree, it seems that they have something on their minds, so agree. In fact, getting the certificate is tantamount to being husband and wife, that is to say, one's own baby girl will soon become someone else's wife. Unconsciously, Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe's eyes turned red. The daughter who was raised like a baby bump is about to become an adult, so reluctant, so reluctant. Chu Xia's eyes were also astringent, but fortunately, she had discussed this matter with Zhou Mikang before, and psychologically, she accepted it somewhat, so her expression was quite normal. Zhao Yushan and Li Aiwan were only happy. They always felt that their younger sister Zhao Yulan married Lin Baohe and had nothing to gain other than hardships. Now that the niece is married well, the younger sister can finally enjoy the blessings. They are happy for the younger sister from the bottom of their hearts. Thinking about the fact that my son and daughter-in-law can also follow suit, it will be even more beautiful in my heart. This is human nature. Understandable. However, even if a marriage is settled. Several people talked to the Zhou family, but they were still extremely restrained. The family backgrounds of the two families are so different that it really makes them feel at ease. It may be difficult for them in this life. Father, mother. Zhou Mikang got up and handed over a passbook. This is a little savings I have made over the past few years. My parents will take it back and build a better house so that you can live more comfortably. Can rest assured. In the future, Chu Xia and I will stabilize. Just take your father and mother over to live with you. Parents can rest assured that you will have an extra son in the future, not a missing daughter. No, no, no. Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe hurriedly pushed back the passbook, waved their hands and shook their heads. Seeing Zhou Mikang push it back again, the couple were really anxious. Chi said that if Zhou Mikang would definitely take this passbook money to them. They don't want to end this marriage. Originally, The couple were worried that the Zhou family would misunderstand that Chu Xia married Zhou Mikang because of the background of the Zhou family. If they accept the money, that designation will make the Zhou family feel that they are selling their daughters for wealth, so what to say? It is impossible for them to accept the money. Take it back. Seeing what her parents were thinking, Chu Xia sighed softly. Picking up the passbook and handing it back to Zhou Mikang, if my parents say no, then I definitely don't want it. Don't make things difficult for them. After a little hesitation, Zhou Mikang nodded, okay, father, mother, I will take back the money, but you have to accept the gift money for the engagement. This is about Chu Xia's reputation. You don't want her to be talked about, and you don't want her to be talked about is she being looked down upon. This. Doesn't the meaning still be the same? The couple stared at each other, dumbfounded, and didn't know how to answer. Xiaolin, Xiaozhao, it is our Zhou family's blessing to marry into our family in early summer. You must accept the gift money. I know what you think. Don't worry. No one dares to look down on her when she married into Zhou's family in early summer. No one dares to make irresponsible remarks. Our old lady is nostalgic, and she may not be able to accept Chuxia as the Zhou family's granddaughter-in-law for a while, but she will definitely like Chuxia after getting along for a while, so you don't have to worry about the old lady. Besides, if she really dares to show Chuxia's face, Xiaomi can't let her go. This child is the bully of our family, and no one dares to mess with her. However, if I say that, don't worry that he will bully Chuxia. He is more than 9 years older than Chu Xia. If he really dares to bully Chu Xia, I will be the first to spare him. If Chu Xia married into our family, we obviously have the ability to help you, but we just ignore it and let you live a hard life. There is no way to justify this, right? At that time, without anything else, we can be drowned by spitting stars. The villagers in your village must say that Chu Xia left his parents alone to live a good life for himself. People here must say that the Zhou family does not understand etiquette, and it is not authentic to take a daughter-in-law but look down on the daughter-in-law's natal family. If someone really chews their tongues like this, no one will be happy, because the hurdles in their hearts will not be happy, and it is not worth it. Think about it, isn't it so reasonable? Zhou Jingping answered quickly, yes, in-laws, I heard that the hut you live in can't accommodate people at all. If you want Chu Xia to serve as a soldier here with peace of mind, you have to let her not worry. Since ancient times, marrying a daughter-in-law should give the bride price, we should give it as it should, and you can take it with peace of mind. This is the right way. Brother Lin, Sister Zhao, my father and my eldest brother are real people. When they say this, they really think so, not just pretending. The second aunt Liang Xiaohong also smiled and said, yes, my father and my elder brother are real people, and my sister-in-law is even more so. I don't need to tell you whether she is satisfied with Chu Xia. When she knows that the 2 children will get the certificate soon, she may not be happy. She is going to be a mother-in-law. If you don't let her do her best, how can she do it? Uncle, aunt, we all like Chu Xia, but we are all married, and Chu Xia will take care of us when we come back. That's right, we just hope that my third brother will get married, and then, a third sister-in-law will take care of him and let us live a comfortable life for a few days. Zhou Xiangping quickly added, I mean, well, my third brother has a third sister-in-law, so I can work less hard, and I can go home often, and my mother won't be sullen, and won't use us as a blowout bag, and then our life will be more comfortable. Feel the sharp eyes move away. Zhou Xiangping breathed a sigh of relief quietly, and glanced at Chu Xia quietly and sympathetically. From now on, her demon king will be under the control of this girl. I don't know if this girl can withstand the cold air on the devil's body. My opinion is the same as everyone else's. Zhou Zikang hurriedly expressed his opinion when he saw the eyes of his third brother staring at him coldly. After speaking, his third brother was still staring at him. I was stunned for a moment, then realized, and added, "My daughter-in-law has returned to her mother's house, she must have the same idea as me. Although she is a sister-in-law, I promise. She definitely wouldn't bully Chusia as a sister-in-law, she would only love Chusia like her sister." After getting a satisfactory answer, Zhou Mikang looked away and looked at Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe. "Father, mother, my family members have expressed their views, and the rest of the relatives must think the same as them. Anyone who dares to be different, you will not be allowed to enter Zhou's house in the future." After speaking, he pushed the passbook to the couple again. Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe looked at each other, the struggle in their eyes was clearly visible. "Close. I don't think so. No charge. I don't think I value my daughter." Just when they were still hesitating, another passbook was pushed over. "Xiao Lin, Xiao Zhao. It is Xiaomi's wish that Xiaomi pays filial piety to you. This is the wish of our Zhou family. It is also the sincerity of our Zhou family to Chusia, the granddaughter-in-law. This. The couple looked at me and looked at you, and they didn't know where to put their hands and feet." Zhou Mikang took advantage of the opportunity to pick up the passbook that the old man had stuffed in for a look. Then the corners of her lips curled up slightly. "Father, mother, it seems that my grandfather and my father are very rich, and my little money is really not enough." Zhou Jingping stood up suddenly, and stared at his son excitedly. After 5 years, his son finally called him dad again. Although he was not called directly, but he was called in front of his face. In the past 5 years, his son had never acknowledged him in front of others, and finally let him look forward to it. Chusia didn't understand Zhou Jingping's excitement, Lin Baohe, Zhao Yulan, Zhao Yishan, and Li Aiwan even less, but Zhou's family did. In addition, the complexions of Mr. Zhou and Uncle Zhou Zikang were also slightly agitated. The relationship between father and son has always been a heart disease for everyone. Unexpectedly, they finally saw the day when the ice melted. Of course Zhou Mikang could see and even feel his father's excitement, but he never showed his father's face. "Did you forgive me?" In fact, he had forgiven him a long time ago, but he didn't know how to face his father. In just a split second, with just a moment of thought, he used that method to send a kind invitation to his father, and as expected, his father understood it. This made him feel a little sour. When his sister left, his father suffered no less than him. He knew this all along, but he couldn't get over the hurdle in his heart. If he was the one who faced that matter at that time, would his choice be the same as that of his father? He has asked himself this question countless times, but the answer is that every year, there is a slight change. Or, the younger sister's departure also took away part of the father's heart, but he, with 4 children, still has responsibilities on his shoulders, so he must be strong and move on. But at first, he misunderstood his father, thinking that he just gave up his little sister for the sake of honor. It wasn't until these 2 years that his own status changed and the problems he faced were different from before, that he could understand his father's mood more and more at that time. However, if one day in the future, when he has to face such a problem, what should he do? He always wanted to find a perfect answer to this matter, and then talk to his father frankly, but, just today, seeing Lin Baohe's side for Lin Chuxia, deeply touched him. He believes that his father's love for his brothers and sisters may not be as pure as Lin Baohe's, but it will definitely not be too much less. Then, if this wastes so much, it will only hurt themselves. It's one thing to realize this problem, and another thing to actually do it. Apart from acknowledging his father's position in front of his father, he still can't do anything else for the time being. Amidst the doubts of everyone in the Lin family, Zhou Jingping suddenly took a step forward and held Chu Xia's hand tightly. Thank you so much. Is this the case of a horse?" Chu Xia stared at him in bewilderment, and then aimed at Zhou Mikang, feeling some train of thought, but couldn't figure it out. Knowing that Zhou Mikang has achieved this step today, it is already a big change. If he is forced too hastily, it may backfire. Mr. Zhou looked at Zhou Jingping. Go and inform your wife, so that she will be happy too. Okay, Zhou Jingping swept out of the side hall like a gust of wind. He. Mr. Zhou smiled at the Lin family and said, we will be a family in the future, and I won't hide it from you. The eldest of our family has a little daughter. Back then. After a while, the old man continued, back then for the sake of the country, the eldest brother sacrificed his youngest granddaughter. For this, Xiaomi has been ignoring his father. After so many years, we have been persuading him a lot, and the boss also hoped that Xiaomi would forgive him. Today, the boss finally got his wish, which makes you laugh. Although Zhao Yulan and Zhao Yushan were simple farmers, it didn't mean they were unresponsive. When the old man said this, the four of them understood after a little thought, and turned their gazes to the direction Zhou Jingping left, with expressions full of respect. Thinking of the little girl who might have a personality similar to her own, and seeing Zhou Mikang's suddenly slumped expression, after hesitating for a moment, Chu Xia stepped forward and grabbed his sleeve, and tugged gently. Seeing the other party looking at her, he smiled slightly. Look forward, be obedient. Zhou Mikang immediately had a black line. This girl is a quick learner. However, her current appearance made him feel warm in his heart. Because of his bad temper, brothers and sisters did not dare to get too close to him. He really felt very kind to get along so close. In his heart, he even hopes that Chu Xia will not let go of him in a hurry, just hold him for a while, hold him for a while. Chu Xia, my precious wife? Ha ha ha. His mother didn't hear the group leader's Heise's wish, and a black shadow rushed in, snatching the source of warmth away from him with lightning speed. Chu Xia was hugged tightly by Lin Yangkaiu, feeling almost out of breath. She wanted to push her mother-in-law away, but she was embarrassed, so she had to accept her fate and hug her mother-in-law back, patting her on the back, hoping that her mother-in-law would hurry up, slow down and let her live. Seeing Chu Xia's little face flushed when being hugged, Zhou Mikang hurriedly tore his mother away. Take it easy, you will strangle Chu Xia to death. Son, Lin Yangkaiu let go of Chu Xia, hugged Zhou Mikang tightly, and slapped Zhou Mikang's face. My baby, Xiao Mimi, you are too embarrassing for my old lady, ahaha. Lin Yangkaiu, you are really shameless. Seeing Zhu Xingkan appearing at the door, Chu Xia shrank unconsciously behind Zhao Yulan. Mother, she doesn't want to be seen as a saw anymore.